again. Hoping y'all can hear me this time. Zeke, I get it. Oh. Daddy! Oh. Yeah, I swear y'all can hear me because I heard myself. Okay. I gotta actually go to the... I don't know what messed up the other one. I am absolutely losing my mind. Okay. Tell me if tapping with one hand can't hear me. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to pin that message. There we go. I swear, if the other one is still going, I will crash up. I don't think it is, though. I will crash up. Oh, yep. There we go. I heard myself. See? See, I swear it's on. Okay, finally. We're finally freaking back. Okay. Like, girl, I was streaming for an entire hour. But technically talking about nonsense. And I was kind of confused because Choco came here and then Choco left. Zeke, if you don't stop growling, I will shove my foot in your mouth. Okay. That's not Carl. Oh. Boom.
Did he say something? I thought I heard him say something.
You call me Carl.
Son, you know they don't talk. Hey, mister.
That was kind of crazy.
What's that bandage for?
What?
What kind of wound? You answer me, damn you.
Zeke.
What's your wound?
Come here. Come up here. You want to be in my lap? Come here. Come here. Come on, Zeke. Jump up here. Good boy. Come here. Come here, Zeke. Come on, Zeke. Okay, but sit, because I can't see the TV, Zeke. It's okay.
Got that bandage changed now. It's pretty red. What was it?
Man, imagine having a bandage on for an entire month. Ew.
Gunshot. Gunshot? What else? Anything?
Gunshot ain't enough.
It's the apocalypse, Rick.
And you answer. It's common courtesy, right? Beaten, you get bit.
Bit, chewed, maybe scratched, anything like that.
No, I got shot. Just shot, as far as I know.
Alright, Zeke. Zeke, if you do not stop growling.
Just let me.
Oh. Okay. Guys, I'm gonna pour some more coffee. Okay, I'm back again. I don't know if this is like the daily fun. I won't be able to make it to. What do you mean, Peppy? No. What if I go all day? Will you be able to make it at some point? I swear, Peppy. Please. I mean, you don't have to anyway. There's no pressure. Happy. Okay, caps lock. Happy. There we go. Okay, now. Oh my god, happy birthday! And my dog says happy birthday too, I guess. It's okay. We're not doing much here anyways. It's just me like yapping to myself. Like, you know, Trix just came in like 2 seconds ago and then said be right back. So you just missed Trix by like 2 seconds. Okay. I swear I'll be streaming like all day until, you know, I'm not home alone anymore. Yeah. You just missed him by like, or them, him, them. I don't even know anymore. I'll just say them. You missed them by like 2 seconds. I swear. Because I had to restart stream because there was no audio and I was going for an hour. I hope to see you soon, puppy. Yippee. No, by the way, if you can like hear me, do you mean in a bit as in like a couple hours or a couple days, puppy? Please specify your time frame. I mean, I don't mind, obviously. Okay. Cause like, man, I love seeing you. I miss you, puppy. Bye, puppy. See you. Hours. And I don't know. Okay, hours. Do you know how many hours? Just kidding. But not really kidding. But I am. Just don't take anything I say within the next 5 minutes seriously, okay? Oh god, this coffee's good. What do you mean you don't know? This is a low stress environment for questioning. Yeah, I'm crying like, ah! I'm not actually crying, I promise. Oh, I just ate pure creamer. Ugh. You don't know. Okay, bye, puppy. Oh, I'm going X crazy. Me too, man. Like, girl, I just like drank 1 cup of coffee and then immediately poured another cup of coffee. Like, this is not okay. Oh. All I want to do is pour this creamer, but I can't even open the thing with my mouth. And my dog won't stop yelling at me. There we go. Puppy, do what you need to do. Slay while doing what you need to do. Be amazing and then return with a ball of fire around you back to stream. And then we will all bow at your feet, Peppy, and make a Peppy shrine to honor you in everything you do, Peppy. Oh, dang, this is good. Okay, I'm going to hit play on The Walking Dead again. Oh my gosh. I hope I don't, like, you know, hyperventilate from this coffee. So far, I'm not. It's calm, controlled. Oh, it's almost 10:30. I made a promise to myself that I would get my clothes in the washer at 10:30 or before 10:30, so we have 5 minutes.
Just let me. Feels cool enough.
Why is there so many hurt comfort scenes in The Walking Dead? I love it.
We holding this.
What are you growling at?
That moment.
Ew.
She already is. Try anything. I will kill you with it. Don't you think I won't?
Oh, he's fine. Never mind. You know, this scene in The Walking Dead could be extremely suspicious out of context if you didn't see the wound on Rick's side. And he's chained to the bed, bro. Okay, now I'm going to get up and stop drinking this coffee because I'm kind of scared. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Hold on. Yo, I can't think. I literally cannot think. Um, let's see real quick. I'm going to type my status in chat what I'm about to do. So AFK for like 2 seconds because quick break. Oh, because nature calls. There we go. And I need to put my clothes in the washer. There we go. And I'm going to mute it. Okay, I'm back. Tricks. You just missed Peppy. Peppy was here 2 seconds ago. Like, you missed Peppy entirely. You were so close. Bro. Peppy was literally just here. Like, what happened was you came and then you left because I had to restart stream. And then I started it again. And then Peppy came in and I was like, you just missed Tricks by like 2 seconds, Peppy. And then Peppy was like, I can't stay on stream today. She's going to a hotel for her birthday. And I was like, yay, happy birthday. And then she left. So then you come back, Tricks. And now I'm like, you just missed Peppy again by 2 seconds. Bro, you just wanted cereal? I'm shaking my head. Okay, Tricks, listen to this. I'm going to take the stream with me to the garage. Yeah, because so I can put my clothes in the washer. But the thing is, what if like a murderer is waiting in the garage for me, right? I won't be talking on stream. So like if a murderer jumps me in the garage, will you protect me, Tricks? You should protect me, Tricks, if I get jumped in the garage. Because, like, what if they're hiding behind the door? Or, like, in the darkness? What if a wild bird comes out and attacks me? First, I need to find my shoes. I almost sacrificed Silver to the Megalodon. So, Tricks, if you don't protect me from getting jumped in the garage, I'm going to sacrifice you to the Megalodon. Okay, you'll bite them? Thank you, Tricks. Okay, I'm going to go right now to the garage. And you better have your teeth ready. I'm not going to say anything while I'm there. And I pray that stream does not disconnect. Okay, get your fangs ready, Tricks. But honestly, I still need to pick up some clothes. I don't know if you could tell, but you could probably definitely tell that I drank some more coffee. Caffeine takes 20 minutes to kick in on average and has a half-life of 5 hours. So if I consume 200 milligrams of caffeine, 5 hours later, 100 milligrams will still be in my system. And 5 hours after that, 50 milligrams will still be in my system, I think. So I'm doomed till like 6 p.m. 400 milligrams per day is the recommended amount. And I'm like, uh-oh. Usually Google says that 80 milligrams to 130 is in a cup of coffee. But if you're doing like me and you dump the grounds in the thing and then you turn it on and you don't know how much is in there, who knows? So I might be doomed. Tricks, if I go to the garage and get jumped, you need to protect me. And if I collapse, you also need to protect me. Drag me somewhere and give me medical help. I'm just kidding though. I probably won't collapse. I drank some yesterday. I definitely won't collapse, mind you. Okay, I got my shoes on. And I'm ready. Okay. Here we go, Tricks. You know the drill. Stay behind me and get your teeth ready. And I won't be talking in the garage, but you'll hear a bunch of fumbling, I guess, as I try to get my clothes in the dryer without breaking something. What even is this? Whatever it is, I'm going to wash it. And I'm going to be honest, I have a towel that the dog's like crapped on that I'm not washing with my clothes. So, ain't no way. I'm washing it somewhere else. Okay, I pray the stream stays connected, and I'm opening this door now. Okay. I'm alive. I am alive. I live again. I'm back. Okay, my dog needs to go like snort somewhere else. Tricks. I'm back. Yeah, it died because I went into the garage. I learned that the hard way just now. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so when I went to the garage, nobody jumped me. Everything was fine. No birds attacked me. But there has been turkeys in my front yard for the past like 3 days. They're eating the grass seeds and they're so cute, honestly. I tried to get a picture of them when I pulled in from school, but the moment I opened my car door, they like ran for their lives. Because they thought it was somebody attacking them. Okay, I know what we should do. What I'm gonna do is play the Dark Somnium. Because he posted a new video. And it's just a compilation of like 3 hours for his stories. But like with a theme. Somnium. It might be a little gruesome. I don't know. But it's called These Are Some of the Darkest Urban Legends I've Ever Heard, a compilation of scary stories. And like, you know, the Dark Somnium is actually my favorite scary story narrator because his voice is like deep and consistent. And on some other narrators, I honestly do not like the high-pitched lilt to it. Like, they're too expressive, if that makes any sense. Like, it freaks me out. And they'll randomly start talking too fast or too slow and then go quiet or something. Now, the Dark Somnium ruined all the other channels for me because, in my opinion, he's too good to listen to. Like, he's literally so good that I can't listen to anyone else. I can't do it. Like, I suffer. So this is a big compilation. Woo! I literally love his stories. Well, he doesn't write them, he just narrates them. He says, "Hello everyone, sorry I've been gone so long. He's been dealing with mental health issues and family matters and not having a place to work on videos, but things are on the upswing and getting better. He wanted to post something so he can give you an update while he finishes up 2 videos he's working on. And he also just passed 9-year anniversary, which is crazy that he's been on YouTube for almost a decade." Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Someone gave him $24 as a donation, and he deserves it. He deserves like $300 donations, really. Okay, I swear I'm gonna actually get it started now. I swear.
Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well.
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry that it's been a few months since my last upload. I wanted to post something because I do have a few things that are almost done,
There we go.
including like a special anniversary video for my 1000th video. But I just wanted to post something to let you all know that I'm still here because
I'm
I've
brushing my
seen
hair, y'all.
posts on the subreddit asking if I'm even alive and stuff. And I just wanted to, say hi, yes, I'm still here, and just give you a little bit of information about why I've been gone for so long. So I have had to have a bunch of family members move in with me, and I haven't had an office in a few months. It's been really hard to find a space to actually do recordings. In fact, I don't even have my microphone arm right now, so I'm just holding my microphone up to my face
That's
with
why it
one
sounds
hand
different.
and the pop filter in front of the microphone with the other, so it doesn't sound like trash, but hopefully there's not like too much rumbling or anything for me holding a microphone. The other thing I've been experiencing is I've been having daily episodes of extremely bad mental health. I won't give too many details on it, but it's something I used to be on medication for, but stopped because it got better. Probably because the medication wasn't a good idea to stop taking it. But I'm getting back on it. But anyway, that's another reason, unfortunately, it's been so hard for me to get things done, because when these episodes happen, I can't really do anything at all. And like,
Yeah,
like I
poor
said, I won't give
Ronnie.
much more detail than that. But and I don't say all this stuff to try to give like excuses as to why I haven't been posting. I'm just trying really to let you all know where I've been, what's
I'm
been
gonna
going
braid my
on,
hair,
and
guys.
why videos haven't really been being posted. But things are getting better. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know I am still here. I do
Man, you
have new
gotta go,
stuff
Trix.
being worked on.
All right.
I'm going to be posting
fun.
2 videos that are almost done. One's
I
called
swear, the moment you
Witch
leave,
Tree,
Peppy's gonna come
and
back.
then I don't want to give the title of the other one because it's going to be a surprise. And then I'm going to do a few feature videos with Dusklight Radio, Romnex, and Spirit Voices. But
Also, I can't believe you wanted
just,
to eat the
like I said, I
turkeys
just
in my
wanted to
front
make
yard.
or post something so I can let you all know that I am still here. I'm still around. I haven't quit the channel or anything like that. But I also wanted to say that I've noticed there are a few other channels who have started uploading my videos.
Actually forced myself to
naming their channels, the Dark Somnium podcast or like the Dark Somnium, whatever. I just want to let you know the only channels on YouTube that I have right now are this one and Somnium Music. So any other channel you see that has my videos on it, it's not me.
Because I had to restart stream.
But then I do also have the podcast like on Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff. But yeah, I will probably post some more information in the comment section just about what's been going on. I just didn't want to get into too many details. But anyway, thank you all so much for your support during this time and being patient with me. This community means the world to me, and no, I'm not giving up or quitting or anything like that.
Yay.
With that said, enjoy this video. It's just a compilation I wanted to post up for you all. I hope you have a great day. Okay, let me get straight to the point. I do not believe for 1 second that no other child played the bath game growing up. I'm convinced my friends are trolling me.
I've heard this one
They're
before.
not responding to my messages, and so I'm left with little choice but to bring my question here, hoping someone will know what the hell I'm talking about. I was around 5 or 6 when my babysitter introduced the idea of the bath game to me. She said it was a fun way to engage the imagination and that I could find something truly special within the water.
Ew.
I didn't question it, even then, because she was the boss and I thought she was pretty. I didn't want to make her mad by refusing or risk having my Nintendo taken away if I was disobedient. So, when my mom told her to bathe me one night, I was excited to try it.
Ew.
Her instructions were pretty simple, and I'd come to write them down because with any game, there has to be rules.
Girl, that's nasty.
1. You must do the bath game alone. These instructions can be given, but you have to be isolated for the game to begin. 2. The tub should have some sort of thick bath soap that includes a lot of suds and a dark liquid. Ensure the top of the water is obscured and the sides are caked in it, including the handles to get out. 3. Only hot water. No cold and no resistance upon getting into the water. If it hurts, it will pass as your skin gets used to it.
I would drown in the bathtub if I tried that.
4. Take a deep breath. Make sure it hurts a little and know that you will not be coming back up for a while.
I'd literally
5.
die.
Dive in and don't look back or rise up. Allow the current to take you and keep your eyes open. 6. Your vision will blur, but it will eventually clear and you'll see something in the plug hole. Go to it. 7. Trust in what you see. Let your body relax. 8. When you meet the Sea Emperor and the lights above the water go out, you've won the bath game and you can come up for air. The babysitter was so excited she could barely contain herself, bouncing around and eyes wide.
Man, she's got to be a
liquid
murderer.
flowing from her eyes. She didn't even bother wiping it up, content to be sharing in my submersion by proxy. I stood there in my bath towel, expecting her to follow me in, but she shook her head, nostrils flaring.
Only you. Rule 1, remember?
She beamed, and I felt my face grow hot. She was so pretty when she stared at me like that, I'd have done anything.
You're special. I can't wait for you to win and get your prize.
Ew.
What do I get? I was eager, but I had to know. What kid doesn't love prizes? Her lip twitched, and she took a moment to answer, but I remember her expression never changed, not once. Her teeth chattered as she said one word.
Freedom!
I had no idea what she meant, but
From
in my
what?
mind,
Prison?
I assumed, like any child, it was gaming all night, eating what I wanted, and no school. What kid wouldn't want that? I went in and noticed the bath was already running. A thick black soup I'd used to give myself foam beards was caking the entire tub, save for one spot to safely get in. The water was so hot that it was steaming up the mirror and making my body sweat. Rules 2 and 3 were taken care of, it seemed. A little freaked out, but unperturbed, I took a couple of practice breaths before inhaling deep, feeling the pressure mount and slowly stepping into the tub, careful not to let my feet slip. Even at that age, I knew I could easily hit my head on the faucet and cave my skull in.
Yeah, I'd literally die
Nothing
if
was
I
going to
tried
stop
that.
me from winning this game. The water looked inviting, but murky. The thick paste had covered the top in a layer of foam, with small patches of black liquid poking through. The bottom obscured and creating an illusion of depth. As my feet touched the water, I felt the searing heat ripple through my skin, threatening to tear at the flesh. But you'd be amazed how determined a child can be when a prize is up for grabs. I decided,
Never
in my
even getting
infinite
burned.
wisdom, that I'd brave it in one go. I exhaled and let my body up to my neck sink down. The pain enough to make me yelp and try to get out, but after a couple of moments, I took in one final deep breath and pushed on, submerging myself fully. Eyes burned and senses dulled in the inky, hot blackness. It felt like swimming through tar, but as the rules suggested, ignoring it was the only way forward. My stomach pushed in protest and my muscles began to burn, but I focused on letting the current take me, not even questioning how a current was a thing in a bathtub. But I did wonder, was it always this wide and deep?
Another
I
reason I'd
focused
die.
on the sinkhole and saw long, scaled hands protruding from either side, the nails sharp and cracked, soft flesh flapping in the water, coming off in small chunks. It started pushing at the edges of the sinkhole and widening it, my body steadily being pulled towards it as the light above darkened and the burning in my chest became less of a problem. In fact, everything in my body relaxed, and all I had to do was float. I saw into the sinkhole, and it took many years of reflection with an adult mind to figure out what I experienced as a child. Words still fail me 30 years later. They're inadequate and unable to capture the beauty below.
I'm gonna
A
eat some
sprawling
garbage.
obsidian city meshed into coral reefs, the pulsated colors I recognized and many I'd never seen before or since. The further I descended, the more blinding the eyes got, as if they were guiding me to land. Further down, at the entrance to the city, two large statues loomed on either side of a grand throne. They're imposing, pilot lights swinging on their skulls, orbs for eyes and mouths in places they shouldn't be, one holding the tip of a sword with several spikes running the hilt, the other a grand hammer. It's when I see the throne that I feel the burning in my chest return and something pulling me back and up. It's empty, and yet it's not. Something is sitting upon it, but it isn't. A flickering image, or perhaps my eyes deemed it too much to bear full witness to, but I felt it in that moment. It knew I was disobeying the rules and saw fit to punish me. It craned its horrific skull up towards me, and as it smiled, the eyes blinded me, filling my body with such agony that my ribs felt as if they would snap under the pressure. The eardrums burst and skull split open. I felt as if I was dying. The next memory I have was being in a hospital bed, unable to speak, and a tube down my throat. I was beyond terrified to be hooked up to machines, and even more scared that I'd let down the babysitter, that the creature in the sinkhole was coming for me. I thrashed around until my mom's concerned face came into focus and she soothed me. Tears stained my face, and I was faced with the long recovery, both physically and mentally. Therapists came and went. None of them believed the bath game was real. Every single one of them told me without fail that my babysitter was simply mentally unwell, had tried to manipulate me and drown me, that all I'd seen was my oxygen-starved brain. But I knew better. Even when she was sentenced to a mental institution and apologized for deceiving me, I knew better. I never deviated from that one pervasive thought that burrowed into my brain like a parasite. I'd failed the game. I bring this all up because I know someone has experienced this. They have to have seen it. It's too specific for one person out of 7.5 billion to have gone through. Does nobody remember the way the tub expanded when you dove in? The widening sinkhole with great hands? The weird, indescribable lights of the coral reefs beneath the tub? The fishmen statues holding artifacts of power? The sea emperor that resides between realities? Everyone in Sturgeon says I'm crazy. They don't believe me, but
You are crazy.
I'll have proof for them soon. I tried recreating the game myself over the years, but maybe my failure was simply too egregious and the Emperor simply won't allow me to retake it. I've caught glimpses in the steamed up mirrors, though. Promises of what could be if I just show the resolve to go there again. Thankfully, my son can do it for me. He's so excited, having grown up on the stories of what lays beneath the sinkhole in the bathtub. I made him wait until he was older to undertake the game. I had to ensure if he told others, they wouldn't think him too young.
That's
I
nasty.
sent him in about a half hour ago. I can only hope the fact he hasn't returned is proof he met the Sea Emperor, but he shouldn't be there much longer, right? I want to go check on him, but because I lost, I don't think I'm permitted to interfere. I even stood outside the door, ready to pull on the handle, but my legs won't stop shaking. I feel my throat close up and sweat run down my head. Perhaps it's a sign not to interfere. Please, someone, anyone, tell me I'm not crazy, that I'm not alone. Someone has to remember the bath game. Because as my mind wanders and fear creeps in, all I can think of is the prize my babysitter promised. The prize my son has been promised. Freedom.
Nah, he had to have died or something. I forgot that was the ending. Dang. What's the next one?
The days all started with the briefing room.
The man who ate
Wall-to-wall
ghosts.
palette of aged pastels in stark hospital grayness. In the center of our little room, an oval-shaped table dominated the space, with every seat filled with a tired nurse. From one of the windows, a bar of morning light often slipped stubbornly past the shutters. It was this drab room where we discussed things such as the population of our current patients and whether to up or down their medications. In a work environment prone to shifting each and every day, such meetings were vital to maintain the facility's pulse. As I sipped my morning coffee and slid the bitter warmth down my throat, I could not help but eye the newest face of our staff, a young man with a sharp, short haircut and a stony, unsmiling face. Alec Barnes, a pest. Throughout the entirety of our meetings, he could never just keep quiet, to sit and listen as we resolved any daily conflicts. No, he had to chime in every moment he could, bringing everything to a grinding halt to interject with, "Oh, I have to disagree. Well, where I come from, we did this. If I could just stop you there." A pest indeed. Every clinic had at least one of his sort, hungry to get out there and feel out the unit they'd soon be running. We affectionately referred to them as Weisenheimers, those who can do no wrong, instant virtuosos of the field. These people were easy enough to spot, postures tense with self-conviction, nodding impatiently as you speak to them, as though already knowing what you're about to say and that you are simply moving too slow for their patience. And you, only you, are the one doing things wrong. I can still recall one in particular, a young know-it-all who had become a nuisance during our labs and clinicals. chattering in on how we'd been doing everything incorrectly and not by the books. That is, until one day I'd spied the bag of dopamine she'd secured for a patient draining itself into their sheets. The sheets. Never faster had I seen one's face flush so red. And what happens to that self-importance after moments like this? They are jettisoned out, left to the scorn of those they'd obnoxiously reprimanded. And you can bet your bottom dollar Alec Barnes will get his eventually. Reality has a way of compressing our egos. After the
I
meeting
like that
had
line.
finished and the charge nurse had assigned our patient loads for the days, I set out to complete my daily tasks. Within the confines of our 25-bed unit, our patients mostly consisted of those recovering from injury, whether accidental or purposefully inflicted. And most patients were more of a danger to themselves than others. That being said, there were always those we had to be wary of. In my years as a psychiatric nurse, I'd been kicked, scratched, bitten, punched, and for the better half of a day, verbally threatened. Still, I never let it sodden my spirits, no matter how much saliva or curses were hawked at me. Contrary to how social media or cinematic horrors may portray them, psychiatric wards are not twisted places littered with crazies.
Hi,
They are
Choco.
places of healing, of alleviation, a haven for those physically alive but internally tormented. Yes, some kicked and shrieked in the halls until their throats split, but a good deal held a much quieter, unseen pain. That was why I was there, to help ease the cold terrors of their futures. And for the case of our newest arrival, Roland Boole would become my next big project. It was raining on the night they brought him in. I spied him rolling by on a stretcher, his cold face wet and dripping. His eyes flickered with transient consciousness, perhaps barely grasping the shapes and sounds around him. For a moment, we actually held each other's gaze as he was whisked away to the intensive care unit. 10 paper clips, 8 marbles, and 5 drywall nails. These were the objects removed from Mr. Boole's stomach.
Ooh.
He was diagnosed with pica, an uncommon disorder in which one has the urge to ingest inedible objects, though one this severe was especially rare. Encompassing that fact, he'd also been diagnosed with depressive disorder, severe anxiety, and post-traumatic stress. Despite my history in the psychiatric field, I could not help but feel woefully unprepared for him. If only I had even the slightest clue. I stopped at Mr. Boole's door, surveyed my notes once more, and carefully let myself inside. The room was reminiscent of a college dorm, with a single window providing a glossy view of the parking lot. Mr. Boole was awake and currently hunched over his table, a wilderness of hanging, stringy hair covering his face. His legs were crossed at the ankles, both shoelaces removed. He appeared to be writing vigorously into a crossword puzzle with one of our rubber ballpoint pens. I knocked lightly towards the door, which prompted him to turn toward me. "Good morning, Mr. Boole." I smiled as I introduced myself. "How are you doing today?" From out of the mesh of hair, a thin face stared back at me, giving a look I'd describe only as a tight-lipped vacancy. Eyes wide as possible, but not quite focused. He appeared somewhere north of his 50s. From across his chin and up his cheeks, a scattering of scars was etched into his features. Possible self-harm, my thoughts mused. I continued my greeting. "My name is Jason, and I'm one of the registered nurses here to ensure everything is all right and that your time with us is a good one. Is there anything I can help you with?" His eyes held tired water behind them, inspecting me up and down, trying to get a read on me as I was him. His mouth then pulled into a small grin, which rumpled the stretch marks. "You have piano fingers." "I'm sorry?" I
Piano
asked,
fingers.
caught off guard by his statement. He lifted his hand and flexed his fingers. "Piano fingers. Father had them too. He used to play all the time in his office, mostly the gymnopédies and a tad of Chopin. Do you play at all?" Despite his craggy appearance, his voice carried a genuine playfulness behind it. "Not at all," I chuckled. "My mother had one of her friends give me lessons when I was younger, but unfortunately, none of them stuck." Yes, Mrs. Brown was an avid teacher of the arts, but now I can only remember the reek of bone broth carrying her breath. Anyhow, it was nice officially meeting you. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you need anything. We'll do everything we can to help. Of course, he answered, rubbing a finger along his scarf-fringed chin. It was not long before we realized the true extent that Mr. Boole needed to be monitored. From the television room, he'd plucked out the power button, as well as both volume buttons from the remote, and swallowed their small plastic bodies.
What?
From his bathroom, he twisted the cap off of one of the soap dispensers and negotiated it down his throat.
Ew.
And before we could catch it, he'd already swallowed the Flexipen we'd given him for crosswords. As arrangements were made to have them removed, we mulled over different treatment options for his condition. In most cases, pica was caused by an iron deficiency in the body, leaving it craving something to replenish the lacking minerals. Therefore, we prescribed him an iron supplement. After a few weeks of the dosage, 2 tablets a day, and an iron-rich diet, his pining for non-food items had considerably lessened. I was ecstatic about the progress, thoroughly convinced that before long, his symptoms would be gone entirely. Unfortunately, I would come to find out we were only scratching the surface of Roland Boole. As far as the supplements had taken him, we'd soon discover that his hospital bracelet had gone missing, not so mysteriously. I'd come to find that he stopped taking the tablets completely, hiding them under his tongue only to spit them out later. On top of that, he'd entirely stopped eating anything we provided him. The next evening, I stopped by his room to once again check on him. Roland was yet again seated at his writing desk, his spine stiffly straight and his neck bent towards the window. A tray of food sat on the bed next to him, cold and uneaten. I scooped it up for him. "You really should eat something, Mr. Boole. Otherwise, they'll have us give you a feeding
I have a
tube.
water bottle
The food
graveyard.
is much better, trust me." He didn't acknowledge me, merely holding that gaze toward the grayish smear of asphalt outside. Protests like this weren't out of the ordinary, especially for patients coping with anxiety and severe depression. As I turned to report back on his state, a thin, withered voice crept out of him. "It's coming." His lips were shaking.
What?
"What do you mean?" I asked, trying to dissect what he'd just said. "What is coming?" But it was no use. He'd returned to silence, maintaining the glazed stare out the window. Evidently, our conversation had ended. That same evening, a scream resonated down the halls.
Oh.
It was coming from Mr.
Jesus.
Boole's room. I was the first to arrive, quickly bursting through the door and witnessing him flailing in his sheets. His hands clawed and grasped at nothing.
That scared me.
His thick heels kicked helplessly about. Assessing the situation, I tried talking him down first to calm his nerves behind the frenzied cries. He was unresponsive, lips curled back from his gums and his eyes squirming wildly in their sockets. Then, in a quick motion, his thrashing hands converged and closed around his throat, locking into a death grip. I moved to pry his hands off him, trying to carefully break the chokehold
What
he
is
had on
this?
himself. Even with his throat being wrung in his own grip, a pressed scream still squeezed its way out.
What the heck?
As his grip started to slacken, the howling was suddenly stopped and replaced by the telltale
Whoa.
sign of someone about to retch.
Ew. Hold on. I don't want to listen to that.
Back, I moved to push his body to the side, all the while looking eagerly towards the doorway to see if more help had arrived.
Is it over
As I
yet?
turned back toward him, everything stopped. My heart increased to a dreadful acceleration.
Hold
I
on,
tried
chat,
to
my
take a
phone went
breath,
off.
but couldn't.
Okay, we're back. My phone went off. There we go. I just had to reply to a text.
There's something so dark and different when an unspeakable shock hits you. Like every nerve in your body, every sensory input to the outside world has suddenly been cut. Your voice is too brittle to speak. Your eyes are too afraid to close. Things, perhaps semblances of thoughts, beat desperately toward your brain, only to drown before reaching its surface. It had happened so quickly I could only barely process the ghostly outline of Roland's face or the sudden misshapen lump in his throat. Fingers, long, wet fingers were gleaming between his teeth, reaching outward from the dark, pink depths. They were bruised with blackish purple colors.
Wait,
Strings
what is this
of shiny
description?
spittle stretched and snapped between their wriggling joints. A
Ew.
pungent bacterial odor reeked from their gangrene tips. Roland's eyes rolled upward as his body heaved and let out a wretched gargle. The fingers bent forward, curling over his face like a spider on its backside, and began to tug at his jaws, trying to pull them wider. Their jagged, split nails scraped across his chin, his cheeks, his nose, digging grooves into his flesh. The sound of footsteps entering the room brought me back. Another nurse had arrived. I peered once again at Roland's face, coated now in a webwork of fresh, bleeding wheals. No fingers, none at all. Together, the other nurse and I restrained Roland and safely injected him with a dose of B52, 2 milligram Ativan, and 5 milligram Haldol in one needle, 50 milligram Benadryl in the other. With the collective effort of 3 different drugs coursing through his system, the struggles finally ceased. A lot of damage, the other nurse commented, surveying the marks on his face. We should have put him under long before this. I realized then that the help was none other than Alec Barnes, the Weisenheimer. Whatever he said next never reached me. I had already left to get some ointments for Roland's cuts. I didn't sleep well that night, dozing in and out without any hope of catching a dream. Before long, I was awake and standing over the sink of the bathroom, both hands against the porcelain. Amidst the rubble of my thoughts, my brain was scavenging for answers, something that could explain what had transpired. But the answers came up short. There wasn't enough substance to it. Not enough material to grasp onto. I could only imagine those fingers, their rotting pores, their twitching knuckles jutting out of a man's mouth, trying to hoist an even larger something out of the tube of his throat. The image made my insides feel wretched and rolled a brief nausea around my belly. Absurd. I snapped back at the disgusting thoughts. Ludicrous. Disgusting. Get a hold of yourself. To give such a thing credence was unacceptable. It was a stressful moment, a fabrication of a rattled mind in a stressful situation. That is the end of the matter. No further discussion required. I gargled some mouthwash, clapped both hands against my cheeks, and returned to bed, repeating the same determined tempo. But when I did finally fall asleep, there was no protecting my dreams. I was back there again, standing in Roland's room while his blurry shape screamed and writhed in the sheets. I tried to restrain him before he could harm himself, only to have my arms reel back on their own and grasp my throat instead, the last wisps of breath pulled out of me. In the pit of my gullet, something begins to move, clawing its way upward. I lurched forward, squeezing my eyes open and closed rapidly, trying to wake myself up. But it was no use. I could only retch desperately as my head flops back and the thing inside my throat forces its arrival. My eye finds the wall just as my shadow spouts a new bouquet of spidery horrors. The next time I saw Roland in person, it was during his supervised access to the outdoor patio. It was to give patients an airy reprieve outside the ward. Flower pots hung from the fence that enclosed the space, along with a wall painted into a mural and a few basketball hoops. Mr. Bull was adamant that I was the one to supervise him that day. The new scratches etched into his face had healed, breaking off into faded fractal patterns. He took a seat at one of the diamond blue benches and sucked in a deep breath of air. Rain's on its way. You can smell it. Well, hopefully not before my drive home, I sighed, catching a whiff of it myself, the freshness just before a storm. He hummed passively, and after a short pause between us, popped the question. You saw it, didn't you? The question sent a jolt up my spine, and, if only for a moment, flashed on my face. He took notice of this, the liveliness in his voice kicking up an octave. You did, didn't you? What are you referring to? I asked, rolling my shoulders back. He leaned against the thermoplastic backrest of the bench. You're scared to admit it. I get it, I do. But neither of us can be so lucky to deny it. My eyes wandered the patio, looking rather self-consciously for anyone else around. We were alone. You're going to have to be more specific for me. I'm not quite following you. His tired, watery eyes focused on me. I had to wait for you to see them before I could say anything. Otherwise, you'd never believe me. I know you wouldn't. Then his split lip curled into a smile. But if you don't listen now, you won't know what you saw, and you'll always be left to wonder. I didn't answer, but perhaps it was the absorbed look on my face that had cued for him to continue. It started with ice, he said, pausing as if to mull over that fact. I loved the texture of it, the feeling of crunching it between my teeth in tiny, crackling bits. It was one of the few things that could quell my anxiety, and when that wasn't enough, I
like
turned to
eating ice
chewing
too.
on paint chips and sucking on coins for a good while.
Coins.
I was a very anxious boy, you see. A gust of wind whistled through the fence and bobbed the hanging flowers. His tongue lapped between his lips. I grew up in a wealthy home with wealthy parents. One of them as sweet as can be, while the other was emotionally aloof. Can you guess which one father was? He asked with a grin. The stereotypical provider, who considered the financial support to our family enough of a bond between us. Naturally, we weren't very close, and as my tendencies intensified, he and Mother were thoroughly convinced it was merely a phase. Don't ask me why it wasn't. I couldn't tell you. All I knew was that my cravings for the indigestible only grew worse as I got older. I stayed silent and listened, not daring to say anything else to throw him off point. I felt a responsibility to understand him. He'd finally opened up, no longer disappearing behind that flat stare out the window. Answers were best found during the low tide, after all. Surprisingly enough, I wasn't the only one with compulsions in our household. Roland chuckled. Father was a collector, not for coins or old dusty vinyl. He dabbed in other things. A canteen once slung over the shoulder of a dead soldier. A worn noose used to break necks in the 19th century. Even an ancient skull with half its dome cleaved by some horrible means of torture. These were the things that interested him, much to my mother's dismay. Little pieces of the dark he enjoyed finding. I'm not even sure where he got his antique piano, but I know that every so often, I'd hear the same two keys get struck in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
So,
Tricks, I'll
one
do
day,
it just for you
while
when
he
I'm
and
done with the
Mother were
dishes.
away on a business trip,
I'll play
I'd
it, then
snuck
we'll
into his
listen to the
studio
Dark
to look at the
Somnia more.
private collection
I'm
myself.
invested, man.
One of them caught my eye.
I'll play
A
it
piece
just
of
for you when I'm
jewelry
done.
that once belonged to a dead woman, said to have cursed her with an early death. I felt drawn to it, like an impulse had compelled me to believe that somehow it was mine, that it belonged to me. So I swallowed it. A look of distress crossed him. I was scared that night, absolutely petrified that he'd come back to find the ring missing out of his collection. Then, the following night, it had passed through me. I fished it out of my waist, cleaned it intensely, and returned it back to the collection unharmed. My father was none the wiser. Soon enough, I did it again, this time with the bone of a black cat used in a witch's hex. It had started to feel like a game, but soon became more of a ritual between us. He'd bring something home, I'd swallow it, even if it was just a piece of it, wash off the blood and stool as I passed it, and place it back there. Sure, there may have been some pain and slight discoloring here and there, but never enough for him to notice. It felt good, celestial even. Father and I finally found something in common. We both had a liking for objects. His face then fell, becoming ghostly stoic as his voice lost its shape. When it came time for me to move out and on with my life, I had to put an end to our little game. He never did find out what I'd been doing to his collection, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'd managed, or so I thought, to wean myself off of them, but as time passed, I began to have strange thoughts about all those cursed, haunted things, like how they felt suddenly different in my hands after I passed them. Almost like the energy they once held was no longer there, like it had been left behind somewhere inside me. And what if all that energy, or whatever it was they had, was then left to brew and ferment over the years, until it gestated into something else? He rubbed a pale hand over his cheek. Something that finally wants out. As his voice finally trailed off into silence, I spoke up. What do you mean by wants out, exactly? The glaze over his eyes had returned. I'd like to go back inside now, please. That was the last and longest conversation we ever had together, and he was done sharing that day. I tried to stray my thoughts away from that conversation. It was too much to digest. For the rest of that day, I no longer felt like myself inside the ward. Almost like the weight there had become too crushing,
hold on.
like something were about to crest over.
Tricks, can you hear me? Oh, hi, Goon. This is the Dark Somniums podcast. I don't know, like, he's a horror narrator, and I don't know, I just love it. But the title of what he's narrating right now is The Man Who Ate Ghosts, written by Michael Page. Yeah, Trix, I'm going to talk to you while doing dishes, and then I swear I'll play that song for you, and then, like, sorry, I thought I heard something. I'll play that song for you, and then more Dark Somnium, because why not? I'm going to put the microphone, as in my own phone, on top of my laptop. Oh goodness, it's spamming a key. Never mind. On top of the microwave. There you go. So hopefully you can hear me, and we'll just be talking while I'm doing dishes, and then we'll get back to whatever you want played. Yeah, and Goon, thank you for coming in. It really makes me happy to have you on my stream. I just like talking to people. Why is this one dish always greasy, bro? Okay. I'm putting all my silverware, as in plastic forks and such, in a bag for my lunch so I can put it in a drawer. And you know me, I literally can't find the bag I just laid down 2 seconds ago. Buddy, I'm just bored. Shower doesn't want to answer his phone because he's on vacation. Otherwise, I'd bother him. Yeah. What am I going to do for an entire week past 10 p.m.? What am I going to do? Like, without shower stream, what's the point to my day? Maybe to not that extent, because I watch KD streams at like 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then later on, I know I could look forward to shower stream. I'm going to do some in-server games. Cool. I actually have to re-download Discord because I keep uninstalling it because I'm scared of my phone getting searched. And like, I'm not doing anything like wrong, you know? It's just paranoia from being raised. Ah, jeez. Trix, I swear if you left, I'm gonna attack you. Tricks. Set a password on Discord? What? But anyways, like, I don't want him to know I have the app Discord anyway. And when I say him, I mean my guardian, parent, blah, 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 you know? I was, like, adopted by my own grandpa, so it's kind of hard to explain. But I just call him my guardian, you know? Because I don't want to explain my entire family life, which I already have anyway, to people on the stream. I just rather go to the web app. Oh, Tricks. Can you hear me? Oh, you're adopted too. Cool. I didn't know. That's awesome. I'm adopted by my own grandfather, biologically, so I'm still related to him. I'm gonna put my straws in this bag. Swim, Trix says. Hi, Trix. You know, I kind of want some tea. Yeah, I'm gonna boil some water because I want some tea. Jeez. I got the friggin' thing out. I started getting sick from the city water. I don't know why, but like right after getting my tooth extracted and then like following the next like 4 weeks, I thought it was my antibiotics, but my stomach started hurting and, you know, issues with, you know, gastrointestinal stuff. And I thought it was just me coming off of my antibiotics, but it was actually the water. And it started getting worse over 3 weeks. And the moment I switched to bottled water, my stomach stopped hurting. Like within the same day. Like I couldn't consume anything from the sink or the fridge because I would make noodles using the water from the fridge, the filtered water, and I would get sick 5 minutes after immediately. And it drove me crazy. So I can't believe I had to friggin' switch the bottled water. Okay, let's see, read chat. I moved back with my birth mom when I turned 17, so now I'm home. I mean, good? Do you like living with your birth mom? Trick says, the drawing I'm doing is for real boosting my confidence by the second. I'm so proud of it. Oh, I'm so proud of you, Trix. Like, literally. I love it whenever, like, you know, sometimes when we do hobbies, we suddenly produce something so good that it blows our own minds and, like, boosts our own confidence. Like, that's the best feeling. Like, I've wrote some things before that feel so good, like, that I've written, like, myself, and I get comments on it, and it boosts my ego even more. Or draw something, like, pretty good, and I'm a big fan of my own drawing. Or make an edit I really like, and I watch it over and over. Because, like, what's the point of making something if you don't like it? Bro, I wish I could draw like Blue. Oh! Okay, here's the thing, though. If you go to my shorts and then find a video that has some, like, old drawings on it, you can see how bad I used to be. Those were my drawings from 2018, 2019, stuff like that. Like, it was actually so bad. Like, oh my gosh. I made fan art for, like, Bird Box back when it came out. Except it was, like, this furry wolf thing. And it was actually the ugliest thing I've ever drew in my entire life. Like, the demon in the background was better than the wolf in the front. Like, but if you go to that video, you can see some of my old drawings. and where I actually started out from. I started out drawing on this website called Flip Animation. I don't know if they even went out of business yet or anything. But like, it was kind of torturous. I wasn't really going through a good time. So I spent my entire like summer and about 2 years of school trapped in my room in the darkness, just drawing things over and over to distract myself, you know? Because I wasn't really in a great place. So like, that was one distraction I could do. Let's see, hard to tap because I accidentally exited the live. Oh, I get that too. Like, what if I accidentally press the camera icon? Want me to post a drawing, Blue? Post every single drawing you make, Tricks. I will stalk you happily. Goon says, I draw a bit. The most I've ever won from a drawing competition is $100. That's $100 more than I won before. That's really cool. Like, where do you enter these competitions? Like, if I can ask, if it's even like available to me, you know? Because I want to enter one. But I also don't really like my own artwork getting graded, you know? Freaks me out, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even turn the stove on. We're gonna have some green tea. Okay, see you soon, Tricks. Oh, let me think. What was I gonna say? I'm gonna put the mic on the windowsill and hopefully not drop it in the sink, because that would be the worst thing I've ever done. Dropping my phone in water. Online, my art teacher in high school injured me. Oh, cool! Oh, that scared me. Guys, I'm so bad with jump scares. I actually jump in the air and scream a little bit. The friggin' water boiling just scared me because it started fizzling on the stove. Because something was on the stove and it just made a sound and I jumped. It's actually the stupidest thing. Jeez. My nervous system is always like high. I swear. Oh, speaking of art at school, I got put into art this year. For like the first time in high school, I finally got put into an art class. And I really want to take home my works so I can like post it here. And she doesn't allow phones in class, so I can't even take a photo. So I have to wait to the end of the semester before I can get all my works back and then post them here. Cause like, I made something based off of like fan art of a character and this collage for writing inspiration. And I really like them both, but I can't show you till like 7 months or something. I don't know. Bro, art competitions in my state. That's actually a really good idea, Goon. I'm gonna do that, then I'm gonna get rich. And then, I don't know, save my money for retirement. Jeez. I will search for art competitions in my state. This goes in my bag. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Okay, bye, Goon. Have a nice day. Make us forever, friendship never ends. Happy, you just missed Tricks again. Bro, hold on. You just missed Tricks again. Bro. He or they, let me say they. Hey, I keep getting mixed up with everyone. Just went BRB. I told them that you came back and left and they just went to eat cereal. Oh crap. Earlier and missed you. Dang. I can't even do the dishes without getting distracted, man. Especially on live stream though. Okay, this is garbage. This is greasy. Am I ever gonna eat this apple right here? Probably. Let's put it in the fridge. Oh, that was aggressive. Let's hope they come back happy. Making green tea. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna put off doing the dishes because Peppy is watching and without audio, so I have to type to respond. So I'm just gonna, wipe down the stove and my hands won't be wet. Finally. Trix, Peppy is here. Peppy is here, Trix. Yay! Also, Trix, if you can hear me right now, Peppy has her audio turned all the way down so she can't hear me speak, so I have to reply with typing. So we're putting off doing the dishes so I can type without wet hands. Finally, y'all didn't miss each other. Gosh. You wanna be my lover, you gotta go with friends. Make it last forever, friendship never ends. Oof. Now all we need is like Silver and like 80 other people. Wait, let me take a guess. Peppy must be at the hotel. That's just my guess. This is my theory. Our love story could be kinda gory, far from boring. We'd meet at the post-apocalypse. Yeah, I'd be slowly walking in a group stopping. You'd be the only man alive that I could not resist. And all of your friends, they try to kill us, but only because they'd be jealous that our love is deeper than their words and us. If I were a zombie, I'd never eat your brain. I just want your heart, just want your heart, just want your heart. Yeah, oh, if I were a zombie, I'd never eat your brain. I just want your heart, just want your heart, just want your heart. Yeah, oh. Boom. Trix, do you like zombies? You're writing a zombie story, right? You and Silver, right? Is that correct? Oh my gosh. Peppy. Trix, have you seen The Walking Dead? I was just watching it this morning. It's my actual, at least over 20th time watching season 1. And just season 1 over and over. I don't know why. I become addicted to season 1 for no reason. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get one of my tea bags out of my room. It's been so long since I had tea. Okay, that's the perfect amount. You have the game The Walking Dead, so you're implying that you've seen it? I'm so sorry. I can't read between the lines, Trix. Just telling you for the millionth time because yes. Yesterday with Dante. I'm gonna set an 11-minute timer because that's how long I like my green tea to steep. Because I want maximum green tea. You didn't go? Didn't go. There we go. Valid crash out. We'd be hiding a second floor apartment, knocking all the stairs down to save your life from the undead. Guys, I'm gonna help you. Double barrel shotgun, taking up the slow ones. You see the passion burning in my eye, and I could not resist. Then all of your friends, they try to kill us, but only because they be jealous. Though our love is deeper than their words and bellas. I'm just gonna spam you. There you go. Or keyboard bash. Because why not? Ooh. I'm not getting burnt today. Ooh. Yeah, that smells like burnt metal. Go Monday. Monday. There we go. I can't spell Monday apparently. Okay. We're gonna collect stuff to put in the pantry, okay? I'm going to put these cheese grits on the stove. This peanut butter goes on the stove, and all the stuff on the stove is gonna go in the pantry, I swear. These pineapple tidbits on the stove. What do you not like sometimes? Wait, Peppy. Guys, I get you all mixed up because your profile pictures. Warrior of the mind. Fake skull emoji. Because on laptop. Guys, just pretend I'm putting a skull emoji, okay? Okay, these original grits go with the cheese grits because I know it's terrible to mix them, but we are. These coffee creamers do not go in the pantry. They will go. Oh my god. They will. I don't know. I'm a skull emoji right now. Thank you. Can I like copy that? It won't let me copy it. Okay, hold on. There we go. That's close enough. The E adds some feeling, you know? Okay, these coffee creamers will go right beside the coffee pot. This baking soda will also go in the pantry. Oh my god, it's 11:42 a.m. I need to like walk in. Yes. There we go. This, ew. Guys, does anyone want a Dove Silky Smooth Promise dark chocolate and peanut butter candy mailed to them by any chance? Because I don't want it. That's going to be given away at school. Oh my god. These, chips, that's not chips, I'm going crazy. Crackers will go in the pantry. Mandarin oranges will go in the pantry too. This coffee will go with the other coffee. Ew. This dirty rag dish towel thing is gonna go with the other towels that the dogs, I swear, crapped on and washed. Ew, bro. Okay, I think I'm actually moving faster now. I think I'm actually doing something. Peppy, how long are you typing? Type faster with hearts. Tell me. Tell me. We literally want to know. Guys, I've already taken like, what? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, Peppy. No. Poor Peppy has to retype an entire essay. I swear I already took a bathroom break twice this morning. If I have to again, I swear, I will crash out and break the toilet. Yeah, it did not go through. Oh, yeah. Okay, this gross stale coffee. What, you want me to say it in all caps? Oh, yeah. Does Dante... Does Dante's there? Yes. Yes. Deal with it, Peppy. Okay, maybe I should drink some water, you know? Like, if I go to the bathroom one more time, my freaking intestines are leaving me. I'm so sorry if that conjured up an image. I don't think before I speak sometimes. I'm going into medical, so it does not matter to me, but it might matter to you. I'm so sorry. Chat. Nature calls. Yeah, I'm gonna mute it because y'all, you staying in here. Hold on. I'm muting it. See you soon. Just 2 seconds. Nature calls. Okay, chat, I'm back. I'm back. Oh my god, tricks. An hour. Okay, I'll still be here, don't worry. Hopefully. I'm gonna keep talking to myself to keep myself sane. 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 Okay. Bro. Happy. Yeah. Cute, not gonna lie. See ya. Ew, these napkins here. Happy, I dare you to scream right now for $0. Okay, this is garbage. So are these. That's actually nasty. They've been there for God knows how long. This is garbage. I don't want it anymore. This is garbage. That's definitely garbage. This thing's. Wait. Ain't no way. I'm not eating that. Okay, my tea timer went off. Scream, puppy. Okay. Oh my god, this thing is like full. What the heck? I'm gonna put all this in the pantry. I'm scared that like a can is gonna fall and like break my toe, like from that pantry. It's so scary. Slay, happy. Let's see. Okay, and this counter looks disgusting. I'm just gonna leave these in here. Okay. This peanut butter goes in the pantry. The baking soda goes beside wherever I just left the sugar. Where is the sugar? Okay, there it is. I found it. The baking soda will go beside the sugar up here. Will you go live again? What do you mean? Peppy, I am truly kind of puzzled. Okay. And these oats go in. They're not oats, they're grits, man. I don't eat oats. These grits go into the pantry with the peanut butter. Okay. I almost knocked over a bag of rice. And I heard it moving and it scared me. Fully sometime, but it will to be silent because I am not home alone after school. Was super yesterday, so by the way, for being here. And then hearts. There we go. And I inhale one day as I wipe down the stove. Let me think. Dynasty. Nah, I don't want to sing Dynasty. I'm done. My sweetheart's piano is rap-filled, and mine is infested with bugs. The music we make is unnatural, but it sounds just like falling in love. This budge, she makes me go weak in the knees. But I can't let her see me swoon, or else she may think I am weak. Tomorrow we'll dig through the garbage and we'll fish out all kinds of neat trash. But when we go back to my apartment, she'll probably kick my fucking ass. This budge, she makes me go weak in the knees. But I can't let her see me swoon, or else she may think I am weak. I sing her songs in my garage and make her fall in love with me. And once we're done, the song is gone. We both just sit so nervously. This bush, she makes me go weak in the knees. But I can't let her see me swoon, or else she may think I am sweet. More hearts for Peppy. If I left tomorrow, would you be alright? Would you be filled with sorrow? Would you put up a fight? How can I protect you when I don't feel alright? You, if I just vanished, you think you'd manage, or would you disappear right beside me? Do you think you're ready when I go and study? Love and please prepare for my absence. If I left the country, would you search and search? Or would you give up easy and find me in the dirt? Oh yeah, Tricks. If you can hear me, I'm like not diagnosed with anything, nor have I gone checked out for anything. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm like highly suspective some things, I don't know, something's like off up here in my brain. Like something's not right here. So I am hoping to get, evaluated someday. Cause something is like loopy. If I left the country, would you search and search? Or would you give up easy and find me in the dirt? Would I live forever or blend right into earth? 'Cause if I just vanished, do you think you'd manage? Would you disappear right beside me? Do you think you're ready when I go and study? Lover, please prepare for my absence. Absence makes the heart get stronger. Pray my baby will not squander. Everything's a game by my leaving. And if I can return the favor, pray my baby always savors every moment we were both present. 'Cause if I just vanished, did you think you'd manage? Would you just... And then the song goes off, bro. I don't know. Beware, beware, be skeptical. The smiles, the plated gold. Deceit's so natural. But a wolf in sheep's clothing is more than a warning. Blah, blah, black sheep, have you any soul? No son, by the way, what the hell are morals? Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Just a little whore and her alibis are dirty tricks. So could you tell me how you're sleeping easy, how you're only thinking of yourself? Show me how you justify telling God lies like second nature. Listen, mark my words, one day you will pay, you will pay. Karma's gonna come collect your debt. Okay, dishes time. Wow. Monotone crying. And I forgot to even take the bag out of my tea. By the way, tricks I am responding verbally to you if you can hear me. Bro, I'm just gonna leave the tea bag in here. Oh, green tea. Oh, my beloved. Bro. Oh, never mind. Oh, that's bitter. Okay. I'm getting that tea bag out of there. It's over seeping. Sure. There we go. I know it's not a good idea to put sugar in tea, but I might need it. Oh, that's good. My sweetheart's piano is rat-filled, and mine is infested with bugs. The music really is natural, but it sounds just like falling in love. Man, that's some good tea. Some days it's hard to see if I was a fool or you a thief. Made it through my maze to find my one in a million. And now you're just a page torn from the story I'm building. And all I give you is gone. Tumble like it was stone. Ooh, whoa. Thought we built a dynasty that heaven couldn't shake. Thought we built a dynasty like nothing ever made. Thought we built a dynasty forever couldn't break. Oh. The score I can't reverse. When the more heals, the worse it hurts. Gave you every piece of me. No wonder it's missing. More tea. Don't know how to be so close to someone so distant. And all I give you is gone. Tumble like it was stone. Don't ask me to riff. Like, I literally can't riff. Not in a million years. Don't we build a dynasty that hasn't been shade? Alexander, come back to sleep. I have a meeting out of town, something like that. Still dark outside, I know. I just need to write something down. Why do you write like you're running out of time? Shh. Come back to bed, that would be enough. Some blah 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 blah. This meeting's at dawn. It goes something like, Alexander, come back to sleep. I have an early meeting out of town. It's still dark outside, I know. I just need to write something down. Why do you write like you're running out of time? Shh. Come back to bed, that would be enough. Bro. I may go eat again. Okay, Rex. Meow, 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 meow. But I'm gonna turn back on this dark somnium thing because I want it back. So I'll turn that back on real quick.
For the rise,
Yay!
all I could do was brace for an impact I couldn't see. What happened next occurred on a late Sunday evening, 3 days after Roland Bull's unshakable silence.
Y'all probably won't even hear it.
I my usual rounds in the ward and stopped by to check on him. I knocked 3 times. His door inside. Roland was not in his bed or stationed at his usual spot at the writing desk. The door to his bathroom was inch slightly open. The sound of his soul coming from inside. Hey, Mr. Bull.
I'm walking in.
Is everything all right? I called. There was no answer. Mr. Bull, are you all right? Still nothing. Only the steady trawl of running water. That morning, the bathroom door swung open.
Oh, shoot.
Bounding off the rubber stop and then rebounding into his body. He blundered out backwards on his heels, both hands locked around his neck. His face was
Oh, this smells like dookie. Bro. Oh. Oh. I should not have gotten a whiff of that. Ew. Jesus. Ew. Dang, bro. Okay, know what? I'm taking y'all back to the living room while I wash dishes.
There was no luck dislodging whatever was inside his throat.
Is he dying?
The door opened. Someone else had heard the commotion. I looked feverishly toward them while administering another ineffective thrust. The other person was none other than Alec Barnes. Even amid a panic, I despised his presence there greatly. "What's wrong? What's happening?" he asked, which only infuriated me. "Choking!" I snapped, yanking
Bro.
Mr. Bull back yet again. Hot blood coursed through my arms. I forced down a swallow, trying to wet my dry mouth. But in that same moment, with both my arms fastened around him, I had felt something peculiar. A sudden shift of his insides. Far too pronounced to ignore. The Weisenheimer stepped back into my peripheral. "Let me do it. I got it!" I hissed at him, hoisting Mr. Bull's body upward again, harder than I ever thought I could. His chest
Dang.
heaved as more strained gasps came out of
Ew.
it. Bits of his spittle slopped over my arms. He then lurched forward in my grasp. It felt as though his insides had all decompressed at once, like an airtight container being popped off. His throat opened. He let out a watery scream of pain and
Ew. I
retching.
gotta skip this.
Somewhere near us, Alec made a noise. Something that sounded like, "Oh God, dear God!"
What the heck?
Something heavy hit the floor. Roland Bull went limp in my arms. Alec Barnes let out a scream. Frantic movements skittered around the room like the sound of a fish flopping about a deck, followed by something being torn out of a wall. My eyes raced around, but the slew of everything at once had sucked all the blood from my brain, flushing its data. I checked on Roland, who had slumped over like a puppet in my arms. He was unresponsive, with his eyes staring blankly forward and lips hanging loosely open. I checked for his pulse and found no rhythm. Lying him on the ground, I lined both hands on top of the other and pumped until the strings in my wrists burned. Then I pinched his nose and forced air down his windpipe. It wasn't working. As I did this, my eyes traced the floor, following the thin film of blood and bile that trailed away from us. First to the bathroom, and then to the vanity, where the air vent below it now hung open. The right side of its grill pulled entirely out of place. Alec Barnes was frozen in his spot. The shock that distorted his face was almost too vivid to be real, and even as more staff arrived, he still remained there, stricken with fear. Roland Bull was pronounced dead by our medical examiner. The manner of death, an esophageal rupture. Several tears had perforated the walls of his throat, along with a dislocated jaw, entirely unhinged from his skull. We weren't yet sure what caused the rupture, as nothing could be traced other than the aftermath of ruined tissue. Rumors had floated around between staff of possible causes, but did not hold much water to them. Truth be told, not many of us knew how to handle the loss of a patient not otherwise terminal. As for what came of Alex Barnes, he'd quit spontaneously and left without further notice. Tried as I did to pry information out of him, he dismissed me, shaking his head and repeating that he'd seen nothing. End of story. I could see the panic in his eyes, held back by two thin sacs threatening to tear at any moment. Not a single particle of self-importance left. Perhaps I've even felt the same way, that perhaps I did catch a glimpse of something that day, a gray sleek of a shape pulling itself through the opened air duct, membranous, slug-like. But I must avert those thoughts, sort them out properly, dissect them one by one. That is the only way I can keep myself together. Yet, despite all these, the strangeness around our ward has continued to circulate. Patients have been claiming to hear something in the walls. Even some of our staff have reported it as well. A quick, insipid scratching coming from the ducts, to the point where they believe an animal is trapped in there. As many times as we've had the vents checked, there is no proof for such a claim. I've heard it myself from time to time, sometimes even awfully close by, just on the other side of the duct's cover. But I do not peer inside. I do not even risk what I may see. The source of the noises, the ward's newest arrival.
Man, I love the Dark Somnium's music. Alright, what's the next story?
Just over 2 weeks ago, On Monday, the 30th of August,
This one
I turned
called-
30, and someone had to pay the price for that.
On my
family,
birthday, my family
Louise,
gathers
has
in
always
one
been
room
seen
and
as
stares at me
eccentric
for
by the
24
locals.
hours.
Some of us have
Okay,
become
then.
investors, artisans, masters of niche crafts, and the like. We've lived full, happy, and creatively stimulating lives, seen to the outside world as to not have a care in the world or need for anything. But we have this life at a great cost. A ritual that must be undertaken every August 30th, known collectively as the waiting game. My family has had this tradition for over 250 years. Every member of the family above the age of 18 congregates at my family's estate and spends the 48 hours prior to the event catching up, partying, and generally enjoying themselves. They are, after all living on borrowed time. When the final hours tick down to the event, they detox, ensure they've slept well, done their business, and had plenty to hydrate. Because once the clock strikes midnight, they must all stay in one room until the clock again strikes midnight. The entire time, they must keep at least one other family member in eyeshot. No single member of the family must be unaccounted for. The parlor room is structured in such a way that we can see each other no matter where we are situated in the room. Each area is well lit, comfortable, and accommodating, which, when you deal with roughly 30 people, is a necessity. You have to understand, growing up in this environment had me thinking this was simply a normal tradition every family undertook. I saw no strangeness in spending my birthday away from my family members, but it was just bad luck my birthday fell on the tradition day. That, of course, would change after I turned 11. I remember the first time I learned of the waiting game. My mother was supposed to host my birthday party, but apologized and said she wouldn't be home in time for work. To that point in my life, Mom had always worked long hours to provide for us, and it was routine. I was crestfallen, but understood. She was an art curator and loved her job with an unbridled passion. She was my hero. The fact we shared a birthday only made our bond more special in my eyes. She was a best friend as well as my mom, and I don't know a lot of kids who can say that. I still remember the smell of lavender in her hair, and the way her eyes flickered, and the way she hugged me tight before saying goodbye.
Never forget how special you are. The fact you are here is nothing short of a miracle, and that is worth celebrating. I love you.
She kissed me on the forehead and promised us pizza when she got home to make up for it. I remember the babysitter waving her off as I got the house ready for my friends so we could play Nintendo and stay up late. But something in the pit of my stomach was uneasy, like I'd missed the step up on the stairs. When Mom didn't come home the following day, that feeling blossomed, sprouted wings, and flew into my heart, where it started breaking away at the fragile casing until it would shatter spectacularly. There was no funeral. The police seemed disinterested in finding her, and my family said very little about it to me, just that she'd gone away, and that I'd understand when I was older. I was a day away from turning 18 when my great-uncle Thaddeus told me I had to
Okay, they were barking at virtually nothing. There we go.
Among them were my great Aunt Agnes, Uncle George, Aunt Eliza, cousins Mick and Ralph, and sat in a large chair at the back was my grandpa, Sir Walter Quincy Carter Lee, a distinguished man with a usually jovial spirit, but now sat morose and deflated, as if carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. His eyes never left mine as I awkwardly shuffled into the room. In fact, none of theirs did. 30 pairs of eyes fixated on me as I sat opposite Walter and gave him a half-hearted smile.
Theodore, I'm sure you're wondering why you're here. And since you're a man now, I will not sugarcoat it.
Since you're a
Walter's
man
voice
now.
broke the silence, and much like his facial expressions, it was dripping in weariness.
The Lee family has been blessed with fortune, fame, and success in all things. We have had this for a very, very long time. But it comes at a cost. We have a contract of sorts that must be fulfilled on August 30th, every year, without fail.
He slid across an old, dried-up piece of parchment with a slew of signatures and requirements. I scanned it and felt all the moisture leave my mouth.
On this day in 1756, I, Theodore James Wellington Lee, patriarch of the Lee family, do hereby commit our earthly bodies and eternal souls to undertake this practice until we are either no more or our obligation is deemed fulfilled. Starting in the waning days of August, we shall congregate on these grounds and be merry, cavort, and enjoy our lives as one is wont to do. But as the clock strikes midnight and hails on the 30th day of the month, we shall undertake the waiting ritual and obey these basic tenements as set out and agreed upon by both parties. Number 1, all members of the Lee family over the age of 18 must be present. Number 2, all members of the Lee family must keep at least one other member in sight at all times. Number 3, if there is a designated focus of the Lee family, they are to be stared at constantly. Number 4, should any members of the Lee family hear voices that distract them, they are to ignore them. Number 5, lights must be available at all times, including backup matches, should there be an issue. And number 6, line of sight must not be broken until the clock once again chimes 12 times to usher in August 31st. I do sign my name in blood to signify the commitment to this pact, and the promise that the current and future generations of the Lee family shall continue this practice, lest we invoke the consequences of non-completion. Signed, Theodore James Wellington Lee. Witness, Elnora Micah Lee. Spouse.
In place of the alternate signature was a bizarre series of characters that I had never seen before. I'd half expected the devil himself to have put his name down, but this just made me feel uncomfortable. What the hell is this? An elaborate birthday prank? I tried to force a laugh, but my body wouldn't cooperate. Grandpa Walter shook his head.
No, lad. It's a commitment to the agreement. Your mother was our original focus person, and now that you're of age, it's you. All you must do is sit in the chair and wait it out for 24 hours. We will all be here with you. When the time is up, you can go. Your successes will come to you naturally and life will be plentiful.
He gestured to the room around him.
All of us have had great lives, and our children, your cousins, will continue this trend. Provided we do our part, here and now.
What choice did I have? I agreed, and Grandpa presented me with a different document that every member of the family had signed in blood on their 18th birthday. I did the same and was free to talk to everyone before the clock chimed midnight.
Oh, that scared me.
Once it had, we all took our seats and the ritual began. I won't lie, it was initially still feeling like a prank that I was waiting on for the rug to be pulled out from under me. But as the first hour passed and the conversation grew sparse, I realized how seriously everyone was taking this. Imagine being sat in a chair at the back of a grand parlor, books strewn across you from side to side, the well-lit room full of your family members. Some you get on well with, Others you avoid like the plague, and every single one of them is staring at you incessantly for 24 hours. About halfway through, still during the day, things would become less tense. Something about the daylight brought with it a comfort of visibility that could not be taken away, and conversations grew lively again. By the time we reached 10:30 p.m., however, tensions were high. Darkness had enveloped the room, and one of my aunts explained that this is when things can go wrong, but stopped herself from continuing any further, hands shaking. I would hear faint whispers from outside in the hall that I brushed off as the maid or a younger family member conversing, but could never totally remove from my mind. The lights would flicker, and everyone seemed to be on edge. But we made it to midnight, and on that final chime, the group erupted into cheers and congratulations to one another,
Finish cleaning
myself
so I can
included.
write some fanfic.
It felt like we'd just come up for air for the first time in decades. Life tasted fresh, and all we wanted to do was experience it. A small but short party was had as thanks, but we were all admittedly so tired that it didn't get too far. I would bow out before 3 a.m. and sleep through the rest of the 31st, going about my life as normal as possible from that day on. Grandpa was right. My life found great success with each passing year. I would be accepted to the art school I had as my top pick. I became a recognized artist, and people all over the world knew of my work. A family of my own had eluded me, but I was a happy 29-year-old for all things considered, even if my partner resented my birthday ritual. I hadn't explained it to her yet, and didn't have plans to do so for as long as possible. Outsiders never fully understood, and it wasn't permitted to have anyone not married involved. I liked Harriet a lot, but I was not ready to go down that route anytime soon. She gave me a defeated goodbye as I left. This was the second birthday of mine she'd gotten to be a part of, and it was clearly bothering her that she couldn't indulge me in the way she wanted. I told her we'd have all the time afterwards, but this did little to assuage her frustrations.
You always keep secrets, Theo. I don't like it.
She huffed, understandably frustrated at not being let in.
How can we progress with our relationship if you keep me at arm's length? You've not even told me about your mother, and it's been nearly 2 years.
I wish I knew myself, but that's just how it is, I shrugged. This was something that hurt, but I'd had many years to process. And if we ever get married, you'll learn all about what goes on, okay? The simple prospect of even mentioning marriage put a smile on her face, and she seemed to forget all about her frustrations. She kissed me and sent me off without a second thought. The Lee estate, by this point, was largely a mix of old and new members. Cousins Mitchell, Eric, Sadie, Pippa, and Kiefer had all long since turned 18 and were now successful 20-somethings. My aunts and uncles from years prior still able to come along. Surprisingly, my grandpa was still the active patriarch. Even at 87, he had plenty of vigor and was relieved to see me pull up, ready to undertake the festivities and party. Now that I'd been doing this for 12 years, it had become a macabre routine that we loved and hated in equal measure. We ate, drank, and talked about life and love. We existed and made sure to cherish those moments. Then, as the clock struck midnight, we took our places, and that familiar chill washed over all of us. I don't know what was different. Thinking about it now, something had to have been off, but when you're in a routine for so long, even an odd one like ours can begin to feel mundane. We locked all the doors, entered the parlor, and took our seats, and so it began. The first 30 minutes was of no real issue, some idle chatter here and there, but largely everyone was steeling themselves for the long day ahead. Cousin Mick was using a stress ball, whilst Cousin Ralph had a single earphone in with an audiobook on his phone. A smart decision. At 12:35 a.m., there was a smash against the window. It sounded as if a bird had flown headfirst into the glass, intent on crushing itself. We jumped, but years of experience didn't have us all staring at the window. Instead, Pippa went over within our line of sight and opened the curtains. A cracked window, but no bird. In the distance, we could see something moving, but it wasn't possible to figure out without closer inspection, and that wasn't possible. The family estate is a private land that borders on a large wooded area. We don't govern that part of the land and instead have large fences around the property that shows where our ownership begins. So, why would anyone be willingly out there? This shit's weird, right? I chuckled, looking at my grandpa and expecting a nervous laugh back. Instead, he shook in his chair and kept his gaze on me, sweat pouring down his nose and his skin growing sallow.
It's just like last time, with Christina.
He breathed.
We tried to cheat the system and we're still paying for it.
Cheat the system? What the hell was he
Why did the
talking about?
Alzheimer's make like gross sounds?
I scanned the room, and the older members of the family looked increasingly agitated and anxious. My Aunt Gertrude bordering on hysterical as she whimpered something to my Uncle Bill, pointing a shaking finger at me. He would calm her down, and we'd spend the next 2 hours in almost total silence. But when the lights began to flicker and the anxiety rose again, I felt myself needing to ask, "What's going on, Grandpa?" I breathed, the tension spreading through the group like a disease. He shifted uncomfortably, and my concern only grew. "If you don't tell me right now, I'll walk out of this building, and that'll be the end of the tradition." He immediately leapt out of his seat, eyes wide and wild.
No, absolutely not. We do not need any more suffering and death in this family.
The room grew cold, and my blood along with it. Death? Mom died? The sheer pain of those words leaving my body, like the very air was being pulled from my lungs by force. He sat back into his chair, defeated.
This deal we made, it granted us everything we could want. But there is no deal in this world without a price. That price was for one of us to fail the contract's requirements each year.
There was a tension in the air, permeating through every member of the family as he spoke.
The contract never originally stipulated that we must all gather together. In fact, it actively persuaded us to elect someone to miss the proceedings, to perhaps never inform them of the deal. The trick set out was to do it on a day that would keep at least one of us apart from the rest. We would have obstacles from life or employment that would ensure at least one of us would be unable to make it each year, thus fulfilling their end of the bargain. I don't remember who came up with the idea, but your grandmother, my wife, was in heavy labor when your mother was due, and the family wanted to be there. It just seemed like we'd been thrown a line. No more death. So we decided to make it a mandatory rite of passage for the family. By some stroke of luck, your mother was born just after the stroke of midnight on the 30th, and you in the early evening on the 30th, some 25 years later. For over half a century, we were able to maintain peace and tranquility.
His lip quivered, and the lights flickered again.
But all debts must be repaid, especially with them.
In a brief moment, for a fraction of a second, I saw something stand in the middle of our parlor. It towered over all of us, hunched over with its bulbous head against the ceiling, red eyes fixated on me. If there was a mouth, I couldn't see it. It held up a twisted digit to its face as if to shush me before the lights flickered back on. If Grandpa or anyone else saw it, they didn't acknowledge it. I tried my best to hold my nerve and ask a question to keep my focus. "What are they?" I managed to muster, hoping there'd be some kind of explanation for what I saw. Maybe an old legend I could connect to them to make sense of all of this. But Grandpa just looked at me, a single tear running down his face as the proud patriarch of our family showed true fear for the first time in my life.
I don't know. Nobody does. They appeared to our ancestor, your namesake, so long ago. He said at the time they were a specter from beneath the earth. His wife insisted they came from the stars. His son was adamant they were an old Celtic legend forgotten to time. But nobody has ever truly known. But we do know one thing, Theo. When we break eye contact, when we don't fulfill our part of the bargain, bad things happen.
I heard more whispering outside, the sound of walls being knocked upon, and something unseen and gargantuan thundering around the home. It was trying to get our attention. Is that what happened to Mom? Did someone in this room fail to fulfill their part of the bargain? I felt hot rage and grief push their way up, compounded by that feeling of being upset on my birthday of all days. I looked around and my eyes settled on Aunt Gertrude, the most nervous of the bunch. She was my last aunt and Christina's eldest sister. What did you do, Auntie? She pursed her lips, and I could see the veins in her temple throbbing, trying desperately to hold her composure. But the noises were unrelenting, and nobody in the room was attempting to calm her, as if they knew this needed to happen.
I always resented your mother, Theodore. She was pretty, confident, young, and full of energy. Always got the recognition from Father, the love she wanted, and the life she sought. I was never satisfied with what I had, and I thought if she was gone, maybe that good fortune would shine on me. So I took some sleeping pills and passed out.
The staring felt malicious, angry, full of spite, and a hint of regret.
I don't have any ill will towards you, Theodore. But if it meant I could live the life I have now, I'd do it again. Bitch!
Pippa and Sadie piped up from the sides. Both of them loved their Aunt Christina.
All you knew, huh? Never told him? Were you even planning to?
Kiefer spat on the floor in disgust.
His family should fucking burn.
I felt my head swell, a cocktail of emotions coupled with the unseen attempts to distract us. Grandpa took my shoulders in both hands and looked at me, the saddest smile I'd ever seen on a person's face.
I let the smartest and most talented of my girls go because of tradition. Rest assured, I won't do it to you. We've seen enough death and enough loss in this family. Before your mother's birth, we would see 24 of our family taken in as many years. She stabilized us. You continued that. But keeping this from you was the wrong decision, especially at your age.
He let go, backing up to the parlor door.
So if you want to leave, to confront whatever takes us, to get your revenge on us, well, we won't stop you.
The family murmured, but didn't protest. Gertrude sobbed silently. How do I know it won't take me? My legs shook as I stood up. It was barely 3 a.m. by this point. We had so long to go.
You don't. But that is part of you making the choice instead of us. Perhaps if you are the one to leave, it'll punish us instead.
I stood there for a few minutes, deciding over my choices. How to respond to a family steeped in secrecy that would willingly send my mother and I to slaughter in order to keep proliferating. It turned out I wouldn't need to wait very long for a decision. The front door hadn't been properly locked, and Harriet came inside, blasting music and armed with a mobile strobe lighting machine. I told her that while we had a ritual, I'd focused instead on the partying aspect. She'd followed me here. The second she entered the house, pumping music and the lights shining through the room, they hit several of my family members in the face, breaking eye contact. And just like that, the pact was broken. I don't know if I can fully articulate what happened, but I felt a deep rumble beneath my feet. The air grew thick, and it felt as if time had slowed down. Something was stirring, and as I looked around at the family, I could see on their faces they knew it was coming for them. I looked at Grandpa, still smiling and nodding as the lights went out. I made a direct beeline out of the room with Harriet in hand, slamming the parlor door behind me and pushing my body weight against it.
What the fuck is going on, Theo?
She screamed, confused and distressed. You just killed us, all because you couldn't wait. You... I tried to find the words, to find the rage, but I was beyond that. I held her close, and we kept our heads down, hoping to make it through whatever hell was behind just a few inches of wood. I saw nothing, but I heard everything. A cacophony of shrill voices screaming, laughing, singing, and groaning in one torrent of suffering. Things were thrown around the room, possibly furniture, possibly a body. I sat against that door until daybreak this morning, when Cousin Pippa gently knocked against the door and told us to come in, that it didn't matter this year anymore. Opening the door, I saw carnage. The room was singed black from wall to wall. Most of the family were laying face down or cowering in the corner, completely unresponsive. As I scanned the room, wordless, full of anxiety and trepidation, I already knew who would be missing. Grandpa. No trace of him existed, as if he'd been wiped from existence. But, to my surprise, Gertrude had been taken too, a smear of blood next to her husband that ran across the length of the wall and ended in the corner. Her husband simply rocked back and forth, holding her green shawl. My attention was then drawn into the center of the room, to something I took with me to the car, something I have in front of me. Now that the full 24 hours have passed, and I have 364 days to decide on what to do next. The family went home, all of us fully understanding what had transpired. Harriet tried in vain to apologize to them, but each one treated her as if she was a ghost. After all, she wasn't part of the family, she wasn't part of the ritual, a part of the game. For all that I'd learned, I still didn't know what they were or where Mom and Grandpa had gone. I dropped Harriet off at home and made her swear to never talk about it. She was devastated, but understood. When she asked me what I intended to do, I simply shook my head. The contract had been amended, you see. Not that there's anything anyone here can do about it aside from listening. To know these things happen. The waiting ritual had been extended to 48 hours. All must attend. Graver consequences for those who don't. A simple note written in obsidian ink had been pinned to the top. Gertrude's signature crossed out and Harriet's name written in her place. A trade, a new debt, 2 more next year.
I think that one was pretty good. Let's move you to my room now.
Months later, I can remember all of them, down to the slightest idiosyncrasies and quirks. They were my friends, and they're gone now. There's a hole in my life where they were. Sometimes I'll remember something they said or did, and it'll hit me like a ton of bricks. They're gone now, and I'm only left with memories of them. I'm sorry for being maudlin and bringing everyone down, but I think this is the only way I can really introduce my story and explain why I feel like I have to record this. I think that saying this out loud is the only way I can learn to accept that. I'll try to keep these downer tendencies to myself as I'm recording all of this, but I can't make any promises. I know that being the third wheel in a group can be a terrible thing, but I can think of something worse, being the fifth wheel. If you're the third wheel, that makes your group a semi-functional tricycle. If you're the fifth wheel, you're left as some obscure car from the 50s that no one remembers or cares about. Imagine not being able to follow the in-jokes and shared history of one couple and multiply that by 2. Getting stuck as the fifth wheel is twice as bad. That was the frame of mind I had as we all piled into Ian's car to go to Gila National Forest for our hike. I know that's a weird way to start all of this after my depressing opening, but I want you all to have an idea of my mindset. I'm not quite sure I know how to describe all this, but I know that I need to tell someone. I need someone else to know what happened and help me come to terms with it all. I think the only way I'll be able to explain this would be to help you see from my perspective as much as possible. So there we were, driving down to Gila for a hike, with me feeling like a fifth wheel wedged between 2 of Ian's friends who I didn't know. 3 of us were cramped in the back seat while Ian and his girlfriend were up front. I look back at that unnecessary bit of moping back in August 2016 as one of the last few moments of normalcy I would have in my life. I tried to make the best of the situation. I really did. Ian was always the more social of us. Our mom used to tell us that Ian could make anyone his friend, and that once I had a friend, I kept them. It was one of those parental platitudes that was given to reassure a socially awkward child that there was nothing wrong. Unfortunately, it would take me almost 19 years to learn that that wasn't true. Instead of taking my therapist's diagnosis of social anxiety disorder following a breakup after an office get together as a means for seeking treatment, I used it as an excuse to cloister myself off from the world. I stayed in my apartment when I wasn't working and told myself that I was just doing what was best for me. Of course, Ian decided that that wasn't healthy and convinced me to go on a weekend long hike with him. It wasn't until I showed up at his house at 6 in the morning on Friday, after taking the day off of work, that I saw that he had invited others along. I know he saw it as a means of getting me help and breaking me out of my shell. Unfortunately, though, with Ian's extroverted nature, he didn't realize that I liked being in my shell. It was comfortable. A turtle doesn't like being broken out of its shell. After a brief introduction, where I caught no one's name except for those I already knew, my brother and his girl Jessica, due to morning grogginess and the rushed introduction, we packed up the car and left for our hike. It took 3 hours of mostly awkward silence for us to reach our destination. Ian tried to make conversation, but my short responses and the other's sleepiness killed them off fairly quickly. We found the parking lot near the Gila cliff dwellings. As we unpacked our gear, we took a moment to bask in the beautiful sight that sat perched above us. It's hard to believe that someone could carve an entire town into the face of a cliff, but 700 years ago, people managed to do just that. Given that the parking lot was empty, except for us, we would find out why later, and I was in need of some social lubrication, we split a six-pack of beer and took in the majesty. Here's a picture in case you were wondering what the area looked like. As we finished our beers, got everything prepared, and used the restrooms, Ian explained what path we would be taking in detail. What we didn't know, and what my brother had failed to tell us, was that the West Fork Trail had been closed all that summer due to flooding. To be honest, the path wasn't that dangerous. They had just opted not to clear it due to the recent floodings, so it would be a bit more of a rugged hike. While it wasn't perilous in itself, it did keep us from encountering other hikers, which would cause us a lot of problems if we actually needed help. Ian figured we could make about 2 or 3 miles per hour, and we would be able to complete the Gila Loop, which was about 30 miles long, with enough time to get back on Sunday and be ready for our respective jobs on Monday, with no one any the wiser that we had backpacked a closed section of the national park. As his explanation was a bit heavy on names and locations, some of which I can't recall clearly, I'll opt to include a picture. For the sake of simplicity, this is the path we are planning to take. In addition, I'll include a more detailed map of the area so you can orient yourselves if you want to trace the trail we took. If you plan on following along with the path as I tell you about this experience, all I can say is good luck. Even as I stare at it now, I feel just as lost now as I was then. I was just going along with the group and trying to keep a positive mind about everything. I wanted to try and do a better job of getting to know Ian and Jessica's friends. I think my circumstances had finally begun to set in. I had been living in a quiet apartment in New Mexico for over a year and had no friends. I would go to work and then come home without doing anything else. Sometimes I would spend the entire weekend without saying a single word to anyone or seeing another person. I knew that if I didn't change something quick, that solitude would become the norm, and that frightened me. Our first day was relatively quiet. We spent a majority of the time taking in the sights, soaking in the sun, and breathing the fresh air. The hike felt like we were constantly moving upward. As I was unaccustomed to hiking, I frequently fell behind, but I never completely lost sight of my brother's friends. While we took a break under the shade of a tree, whose bark looked like dried scales from some long-dead alligator, I tried to make small talk with everyone. I fell into a quick conversation with Ian and Jessica about their work and what they had been up to lately. When it came time to talk to the other two, I only managed to get the conversation going for a few sentences before it shriveled up and died. I remembered assuring myself that it would be easier when we stopped for the night. We rested for a while before continuing our ascent up the mesa. This was where everyone realized how truly out of my element I was there. The path up the mesa was agonizing for me. It seemed to never stop climbing up, and there was almost no shade to keep the sun from beating down on us. I was sweating buckets, panting and wheezing whenever they stopped to wait for me to catch up. I tried to pretend that I didn't notice their exasperated whispers or side glances, but it was easier said than done. They seemed like the outdoorsy type that had been doing this sort of thing for years. By the time our path started to level out, I was ready to turn around and leave. It wasn't until we reached the top and looked over everything that I realized how foolish of an idea that was. Even if I was able to convince Ian to give me the keys and let me walk back to the car and go home, I had no idea where I was going or what trail markers we had been using. I imagined splitting off from the group and tromping through poison ivy, bumping into a rapey gang of banjo-playing hillfolk, or getting lost in the dark and wandering in circles until exhaustion and exposure took me. Even if I did manage to hike back to the parking lot, where was I going to go? Would I go back home to my empty apartment, eat a Hot Pocket, and feel sorry for myself again? I decided to tough it out and continue hiking. We made camp at a dry section of the Indian Creek after having hiked a decent amount. Ian was confident that we would make it back on Sunday, and that the next few days were going to be less intensive. We ate some food and stowed the rest in a bear bag a ways away from the camp. We were passing a bottle of whiskey around in front of a campfire we had built when the conversation shifted to the most awkward moments everyone had experienced. Ian retold his story about the first time he met Jessica at a club, where he was way too drunk for his own good and ended up puking into her purse. Jessica bristled at the memory and jokingly called Ian an asshole for that. Each person shared their stories about a bumbling first kiss where their braces got hooked together, locking themselves out of their dorm rooms in their underwear, their cringe-inducing high school edgelord personality, and caring for their drunken boyfriend who puked into their favorite bag. Then the bottle came to me, and it was my turn to tell a story. I instantly knew what my most embarrassing story was the moment we started the conversation. I didn't tell them about the door, though. Instead, I made up a story about me ripping my pants in front of a group of people during a work interview that I had probably ripped straight from a 90s sitcom. They laughed with me, and I felt like a piece of shit. They had bothered to reveal their most embarrassing moments and were commiserating in their shared experience, and here I was too afraid to tell them the truth, to tell them about the door. The conversation continued for a bit afterwards as we killed the bottle. When it was dead, we all went to bed, still pretty drunk after dousing the campfire. I woke up in the middle of the night, desperately needing to use the bathroom. I was still a bit fuzzy from the whiskey. I tromped out into the woods to do my business, but it wasn't until I was almost done that Nadia's voice cut through the blackness. She asked me if I had a lighter. Since I hadn't heard her approach, the sound of her voice made me jump. It would have scared the piss out of me had I not just gone to the bathroom. I mumbled something about having a lighter back around the camp. She told me that she had dropped hers and asked me to help her look for it, but I was too out of it to be any good to anyone, so I told her we'd look for it later. I vaguely remember her mumbling a protest as I stumbled back to my sleeping bag. It wasn't until I woke up the next morning that I realized how stupid I had been. Apparently, they had heard yowling in the surrounding woods all last night. They thought the sound could have possibly been the Mexican gray wolf, but no one was sure. Ian knew that they inhabited the area, but were very uncommon. I paled at the thought of being mauled by a wolf while out peeing in the middle of the woods. I decided next time I would wake up Ian before going out in the woods to answer the call of nature. We packed up a while later, after a light breakfast, and continued our hike. The second day was a little better. The overbearing sun I had suffered under previously was hidden behind heavy clouds. We crossed a number of rivers as we followed the 157-729 junction. We went along Little Bear Canyon as we headed towards the TJ Corral, which was towards the end of the hiking loop. As the path hadn't been cleared yet, we frequently had to dodge patches of poison ivy and stinging nettles. I fared much better on this hike, and despite nursing a slight hangover, I felt like I was doing a much better job of getting around with my pack and clunky boots my brother had loaned me. We made camp around midday and purified some water from a nearby river, boiling and adding Lodine tablets to it. as the last section of our hike didn't really have many opportunities for drinkable water. I think that maybe our encounter last night with the yipping and yowling wolves had added a bit of seriousness to the hike, as there wasn't as much joking around or conversation this night. We talked a little bit, but mainly just had something to eat while we stared into the campfire. Ian and Jessica were the first to call it for the night. I stayed up with the others for a bit, but we were mainly silent. The other two slowly went off after a bit, and I decided to enjoy the warmth a bit longer before getting ready to go to bed for the night. Just as I had finished dousing the fire, I remember Gary coming up to me and asking me for the map. He told me he wanted to plan out the rest of our trip, and that there was a spring nearby that we should really visit that wasn't too far out of the way. I grabbed the map from Ian's pack and gave it to him before turning in. I woke up the next morning to the sound of Ian rustling around his bag. He sounded angrier the longer he searched. He knocked mess kits into each other as he peered deep into the pack for something he was missing. Frustrated that he wasn't finding the item he was looking for, he turned the bag upside down and dumped out everything. He was practically ready to tear out his own hair, and it seemed like he had spent the entire morning looking for that one thing. Wanting to know what it was, I walked up to him and we started talking.
Hey man, you see the map anywhere? I can't seem to find it.
Where's Gary? I gave him the map last night so we could map out a little detour on the trip so we could visit a spring. Why don't you ask him? He probably knows. It was then that Ian said something that changed everything.
Jerry? Who are you talking about? Do you mean Oliver? Don't tell me you thought his name was...
No. I'm talking about Gary. Tall guy, kinda lanky.
You're joking, right?
He looked confused for a few seconds and made a questioning sound like a really old computer trying to process something moments before it catches on fire. The pieces clicked and Ian shouted.
Some fucking guy asked you for our map in the middle of the night and you just fucking gave it to him? You handed our stuff to some random stranger you met in the woods?
I tried to explain myself and tell him that I knew Gary, and that he did too, since I remember hiking with him the day before. But I couldn't find the words to convey that point. It was here that Jessica stepped in and asked what was going on. Ian vented vitriol.
How fucking stupid are you, Evan? Jesus Christ! We needed that map to get around smoothly since the trails out here haven't been cleared!
Ian shouted for about 15 minutes while everyone became aware of our situation. Jessica managed to calm him down enough so we could figure out our next move. While we weren't completely screwed, as Ian had memorized a large portion of the trail markers, it was going to be a lot harder to navigate the necessary junctions to bring us back around to the car. We packed up all our stuff, making sure that the guy hadn't taken anything else, and we left. The entire hike, I could feel Ian's eyes drilling into me. The last time I had seen him this furious was just before he got into a fight with Aaron Fredlinger and beat him to a pulp. He got suspended for a week, and Aaron got a black eye, busted lip, and never said anything about our mother again. Each time we came across a break in the path, we spent a few minutes while Ian tried to remember where to go. The fact that the trails had been closed and the paths were overgrown only served to make everything more difficult. I think that's how we made a wrong turn and began wandering on the faint trail. I don't know if that's actually where it went wrong, since we didn't have the map at the time, but that's my best guess. Towards midday, tensions had reached a critical point. Ian frequently mumbled things that would make a sailor blush, while Jessica tried to hide the fact that she was close to crying. Oliver attempted to lighten the situation by telling everyone that we just had to follow the compass, and we would get home safe and sound. Oliver's girlfriend didn't say much. She just stared quietly at her feet as we walked. I think she had the right idea, since Lucas was constantly misplacing his footing and slipping. He looked like he had downed a fifth of vodka and was now trying to walk home on a tightrope while being randomly shocked with a cattle prod. The realization twisted something deep down inside me and made me want to throw up. I stopped walking and began talking to Lucas. What's going on with you, man? Ian, still pissed at me, took the opportunity to vent a bit.
Huh? What are you talking about now?
Lucas is bumbling and twitching all over the place. What's wrong with him?
Don't be a dick, man. You know he has multiple sclerosis. We told you before the hike started about his condition.
As soon as he said it, the events came rushing back to me as clear as day. I recalled Ian pulling me to the side and telling me about his friend's diagnosis and how this was likely going to be his last opportunity to undertake a long hike like this. So we had to help him and move slowly. I remembered watching him scramble up the trail and thinking about our own mom and her illness. It brought back bittersweet memories of birthday wishes given to us from hospital beds and hearing her sob quietly to herself in the middle of the night when she thought we were asleep. Guilt flooded over me, and I stepped forward to apologize to Lucas when it happened. Lucas growled at me the instant I took a step forward, and he dropped to a hunched position on his hands and feet. It almost looked like his skin was bristling at a possible threat, and I could see his broken and decayed teeth as he hissed at all of us before taking off at a hopping stride into the woods. He moved like one of those CGI monstrosities from the last Planet of the Apes movies. His shaky and unstable balance was replaced by a more natural and animalistic gait as he took off into the distance and disappeared among the trees. The last thing I saw was what I assumed were his clothes sloughing off his body, revealing that they weren't actually clothes, but gray folds of skin. Oliver was the first to talk.
What the fuck?
As soon as Oliver said those words, it was like a switch had flipped that set everyone to panic mode. We began to run along the trail as if it would do us any good. The only thought in my head was to put as much distance as possible between us and that thing. I think it took a good 15 minutes for us to run out of energy with our heavy packs and the disorienting nature of the woods. As we tried to catch our breath, I surveyed the area around us and came to a horrible realization. In our panic, we had run off the path and were now even deeper in the woods. We tried to make sense of what we saw. I just remembered Ian mumbling the same phrase over and over.
What the hell is that?
The short answer was it was Lucas. The long of it is this. There was no Lucas. Not really. I know how confusing this all seems with Gary and Lucas. The truth is, I did that because I don't think I could have appropriately explained it to you without you first experiencing it from my eyes. I don't know what to call those things, but they do something to your mind. They insinuate themselves into your memories. They wrap themselves up in a wall of your recollections, and even though you know something is wrong, you can't quite put your finger on it. Your group of 4 friends could grow to 5, and you wouldn't be any the wiser. You look at it and you recognize the face. You remember events. You remember getting drunk at the bar together. You remember them crying on your shoulder after a rough breakup. You remember everything that happened between you, but none of it's true. I don't know how it does it. It crawls its way into your head somehow and makes you see things in a way that benefits them. It can mold memories, but it can't mimic human movement. It walks on 4 claws, not 2 feet. It growls and hisses and snarls. It doesn't talk. It infiltrates, observes, and waits. It was hunting us and trying to drive us deeper into the woods. It was succeeding. We never really reached much of a conclusion about what that thing was, but we did reach a consensus that we had to get out of here as soon as possible. I watched Ian as he looked around at the forest and came to the same realization that I did. We were lost. He didn't tell the others. I think he realized the panicking would only get us in more trouble. Instead, he told us to follow him. With the shock of our encounter setting in, we could do nothing but follow his lead and hope it all worked out. As we walked, we could hear the sounds of distant animals yowling and calling out to each other. The terror of our situation deepened as the others whispered that those were the same noises that they had heard the first night in the woods. Whatever this thing was, it was following us and calling out to other things in the area. At the time, I couldn't stop thinking about one of them barreling out of the underbrush and sinking its black and rotting teeth into my neck before the rest of the group could even react. I remember brushing the thought off and mentally reassuring myself that there were 6 of us here, and we had only actually encountered one of those creatures. As the day pressed on, and we seemingly wandered south in an attempt to pick up another trail that would lead us back to the parking lot, I couldn't help but shake a nagging feeling in the back of my mind. It felt like I had forgotten some important deadline that I should have never forgotten about. It wasn't until Oliver mentioned his wish of being back in the car that Jessica stopped dead in her tracks. We all turned towards her, but knew what was coming the second she asked.
We only took 1 car down, right?
Ian snapped, more fearful than frustrated.
Of course we did. Remember how cramped everyone was in that tiny ass Prius with all our camping gear smashed in the trunk and on our laps? What about it?
Jessica went white, as if this were the first time that Ian had ever raised his voice to her. She paused for a moment before asking,
How many of us are here right now, and how many does your car seat?
Ian's car sat 4 people comfortably, 5 uncomfortably, and there were 6 of us out in the woods at that moment. Everything happened at once. Ian swore, Oliver's girlfriend gave a half shriek and a half gasp, while I looked wide-eyed from person to person, trying to figure out which one of us didn't belong there. Sarah was the only one who managed to say something, and that was,
Me, Sarah.
she hadn't finished her words before her jaw popped open. I don't mean that it dropped open like she was astonished or something. It popped open like it had dislocated from her face. The space between her lips was a massive, sickly pink void of inflamed gums that was at least a foot wide. She looked at us with dead and dull eyes as she slowly raised a twitching hand up to her jaw and tried to lock it back into a more human-esque appearance. She popped it back into place with a hollow-sounding squelch of meat and bone shifting, as if nothing was wrong about what had just happened before she tried to speak again.
It's me.
Ian was the first to react. He stepped toward the failed facsimile of a human and swung his walking stick at her face while bellowing for her to get out of here. She hopped back from the attack in a sloppy motion and landed on all fours. Her body shuddered as if an electrical jolt had passed through her as she slowly backed away from us while facing Jessica the entire time. She hissed at us one last time before retreating deeper into the woods with a convulsing lope. It took a moment for us to regain our composure before we continued walking while trying to look in every direction at once. I remember Oliver rambling as we walked. He kept asking, although no one was responding to him.
Did you see how it moved? It was twitching like an epileptic in a rave. You ever see one of those documentaries about mad cow disease? That thing was twitching and moving like those infected cows. What the hell was that thing? Was it a person? What kind of person could do that to their body? They tried to talk to us.
He rambled for hours before we had to stop. We had to tell him to shut up because we were worried about that thing hearing us, though that wasn't really the case. We made him stop talking because it only served to scare us. Despite stopping for the night, none of us actually slept. We sat around a campfire and listened to the sound of high-pitched whining and yelping coming from all around us. It seemed like any time I actually got close to falling asleep, the calls would start up and jolt me awake. We spoke in hushed whispers and tried to figure out what they wanted with us, even though none of us really wanted the answer to that question. The hours dragged on almost endlessly before dawn broke and we continued our hike. We spent Sunday hiking around and trying to find a similar site. Without any real sense of where we were and where we were going, our only hope was to stumble across another hiker or find an area with a high enough vantage point that we could survey the entire area. Unfortunately, any elevations we climbed didn't afford a good view of the area, and it was extremely unlikely that we would find another hiker due to the fact that the trail had been closed and wasn't cleared. Even if we did, what were the chances that we would trust them and be certain it wasn't one of those things? Midway through the day, Ian whispered to me,
Count the people wearing backpacks. One of them is with us again.
I casually looked over my shoulder and noticed that one of our group was walking without any gear. They trailed behind us, but were still in our vicinity. They moved slowly, but didn't show any of the jerking movements of the previous two. The thought that it was learning to mimic our movements unsettled me. Without really thinking, I shucked off my backpack and approached the imposter. Before they knew what was happening, I shoved them as hard as I could. The instant my hand pressed into their shirt, I felt something slick and warm give way, like the outer layer falling off a rotten mango. Their shirt slid off their body into my hands, and I quickly realized it was their skin. The thing was actually naked, but gave the appearance of clothes by altering the color of its almost translucent skin. I dropped the skin that had sloughed off, and it hit the ground with a wet slap. The creature toppled backwards and began yelping. I can only describe the sound it made like this. Imagine getting out of your bed in the middle of the night to go take a piss. As you're feeling your way through the darkness to get out of your room, you step on your dog's tail. Imagine that startled yelp of pain and shock that comes along with it. Now focus on that emotion you felt when you heard that noise, that sudden surprise and guilt. In reality, the sound it made was nothing like a hurt dog. It just reminded me so much of a wounded pet that I can't differentiate the sounds. Here's the worst part. I shouldn't have felt bad. Those things were stalking and tormenting us. They were likely hunting us, and I felt bad for harming it. I shouldn't have felt bad about it, but it wanted me to, so I did. The thing writhed on the ground on its back for a few seconds, making a pitiful noise. It reached back with its arms and pushed itself upright on its hands and the balls of its feet. Its joints popped wetly, and its muscles and bones adjusted to fit its new position. It crab crawled away while shrieking the entire time as Ian pursued it with his walking stick, hoping to catch up to it and cave its head in. It wasn't until the thing disappeared from sight that I realized the shrieking wasn't just coming from the monster, but from Jessica as well. It was trying to mimic her response. With Ian gone and Jessica's screams possibly drawing more of those things to us, I decided I had to do something. I stepped forward and wrapped her up in my arms. She was shaking like a leaf in the wind. I stroked her hair and whispered that it was over. She managed to choke out something about its face. All I could make out was that something was terribly wrong with its face. She calmed down as I told her that everything was going to be all right. I didn't believe that myself, but it was the only thing I could think of that might bring her comfort. Ian returned fuming that the monster escaped, and I awkwardly broke off the hug. Ian didn't say anything, he just started walking. We continued following him, hoping that he would find the way, but knowing that he probably wouldn't. 6 hours later, we settled down for the night. It felt like we had been going in circles all day and made absolutely no progress. For all we knew, that thing could have been tinkering around with our memories and convincing us that familiar landmarks were new and leading us deeper into the woods. I didn't tell the others, but I think I knew what those things wanted with us. They wanted to lead us deeper into the woods, where they were trying to force us to exhaustion, and when we were too weak to defend ourselves, they would descend upon us and eat us. Oliver was right about that. If that thing is similar to us in any way, then those twitching spasms were likely some sort of prion disorder that came from eating humans. After eating some jerky, since we decided against a fire and drawing more of them to us, we reached the conclusion that we would have to sleep in shifts. I volunteered for the first watch because my insight into the monster's behavior had robbed me of any desire to sleep. The others went off without so much as another word. They were exhausted, and it wasn't until an hour into my watch that I realized I was too. Even given the monster's grotesque appearance, everyone needs to sleep. Jessica joined me about 2 hours into my watch. She admitted that she couldn't sleep after our encounter with the creature. I nodded in agreement. Both of us had seen something terrible that the others hadn't. We talked for a good 30 minutes about what we thought was going on and how everyone was handling it. She was worried about Ian. She confessed that he was acting erratic and that he was scaring her. I wrapped my arm around her for a moment and told her that we were all scared. She looked into my eyes and told me that she was glad I was here, and I felt something twist deep down inside me that I had buried a long time ago when I first met her. The longer she stayed with me on watch, the more personal our conversation became. She confessed that she and Ian had been fighting a lot recently, and that she was wondering if they were going to work it all out. At the start of their relationship, they were great together. He made her feel wonderful, but there was something that didn't feel right, like there was something missing. I listened to her talk about everything that was going on in her life, and I knew I had to do something. I knew that if I didn't do it now, I would regret it. I had to tell her about the door. She listened quietly as I told her everything. It was the event that precipitated my breakdown at work and my social anxiety disorder diagnosis at the therapist's office. Everything started off simply enough one Friday at work. I was in the lunchroom eating my sandwich and reading a book, as per usual, while my coworkers talked about their plans for the weekend. One of them was having a housewarming party, and they were inviting everyone at work. I figured the invitation was only extended to people he was talking to until he asked me if I would be able to make it on Saturday. As it was the first time I had been invited to hang out after work, I chose to go. I spent all Saturday getting ready, planning what interesting topics to bring up in case there was a lull in conversation, and the bottle of wine I was planning to give him as a housewarming gift. After psyching myself up, I left to go to the party with the bottle in hand and my spirits high. I convinced myself that I was going to be the life of the party, and that maybe if I played my cards right, I could finally find a friend at work that would make the time fly by instead of dragging on. It wasn't until I reached the house that the false bravado began to crumble apart. I stopped in front of the neighbor's house, as everywhere else already had a car parked there. It was then that I felt my heart beating like I had just run a mile. I began heading up the driveway with the wine bottle slick in my hands from my palms sweating. It wasn't until I reached the front door that I realized that something was terribly wrong. All that excitement that had been building up since Friday afternoon was now replaced with something else: apprehension. All those topics I had thought up seemed boring, and all the reassurances I had given myself seemed hollow. I didn't feel prepared for this at all. At this point, a small part of me whispered something that has stuck with me to this very day. That voice intimated that they never really wanted me to come. They had only given me that invitation as a courtesy and didn't actually expect me to come out to their house. It said that if I knocked on that door, that I would be making a fool out of myself. It told me that I wasn't even comfortable in my own skin, so how could I even dare to imagine that they would enjoy my company? If they wanted to celebrate with their friends, they didn't want to listen to me fumble for something to talk about. All those fears flashed in front of me, taunting me, demanding that I knock on the door and make myself look like an idiot. That part of me told me that I was better off alone, and I listened. I turned around without even knocking on the door, and I left. No one had come in, and the music was playing loudly, and so I doubt they would have heard me anyways. I shouldn't have been there in the first place. Maybe I saw them watching me from the window, maybe I didn't. Maybe they were laughing at me as I drove away, flustered and embarrassed. Maybe they went back to the party and joked about the social outcast who had seemingly freaked out and ran away from their house while I went home and cried in the shower. Maybe. Jessica listened as I told her the story. She smiled sadly as I started to cry into her shoulder. All those feelings I had experienced outside of my coworker's house came rushing back. All that fear, foolishness, and the fatalistic failure smashed into me like waves on a shore. She whispered soothing words into my ear and waited for me to collect myself. Once I did, she pulled away and told me that it wasn't my fault. It was there, under the moonlight, with her face inches away from mine, that I did the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I kissed her. It was slow, hesitant, romantic. I looked into her eyes and I saw her beautiful face. She pulled me towards her as she leaned back. Lost in the moment, I held her against me while telling her all the things I should have said when we first met and realized that I loved her. I held her like that for a few moments, afraid that if I let her go, I would lose this perfect moment. She was warm. She smelled like wildflowers. She smelled like happiness. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, I felt comfortable and content. I don't know when I drifted off, but I do remember waking up. In the love-drunk excitement of the previous night, I didn't think once about Ian or the consequences of my decision. I only thought about Jessica, and I forgot that she was his girlfriend. What I did last night was a beautiful mistake. I convinced her to cheat on him with me. I needed to tell him before the truth came out. I needed him to understand how I felt. I got up from the ground and stretched. Jessica was gone. I assumed she had gone back to her sleeping bag in the middle of the night. I walked over to Ian, who was just waking up. He rubbed the sleep out of his eyes and asked me if I stayed up all night. The words bled out of me, and once they started, I couldn't stop. I don't know what happened, man. We were just talking one moment, and then next, oh, Jesus, I didn't mean for it to happen. You know I love you, man. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you. It just happened, and now I can't take it back. Jessica's cry of surprise cut me off before I could go any further. Both me and Ian turned to the sound of her distress, and we knew instantly what had happened. The backpacks with our compass, food, and water had been stolen. It knew. Don't you see it, goddammit? It knew we couldn't identify it without a backpack, and it couldn't shape its skin to the appearance of one, so it stole them away from us. Now, the next time it wormed its way into our group, we wouldn't be any the wiser. Jessica and I never talked that night. Jessica had never left my brother's side that night. They had zipped their sleeping rolls together. She didn't open up to me about her worries, and I never actually kissed her. I poured my heart out to a thing wearing Jessica's skin while it was in my arms. I confessed my truest feelings to an ersatz entity masquerading as a person. I felt sick. The others woke up quickly after hearing Jessica screaming. We quickly searched around the area, hoping to find some scrap of food or some indication of where our stuff had been taken to. We found nothing. It was long gone. We had no food, no water, no hope. We had no way of telling when one of those things was hijacking our heads and pretending to be part of our group so it could distract us. With our compass gone, we had no means of following a set direction and hoping to pick the trail back up. In short, we were screwed. Oliver demanded to know what I was doing last night. He wanted to know how I could be so careless as to fall asleep when I should have been watching over them and our gear. I lied and told him that someone had come around in the middle of the night to relieve me from my shift. I didn't mention that it was one of those things impersonating Jessica. I couldn't bear to look either my brother or his girlfriend in the eyes at that point. Oliver started to yell, but stopped when he saw I was on the verge of tears. I don't know if it was mercy or disgust that caused him to stop. It doesn't matter either way. We gathered up the only thing that they hadn't taken in the night, our sleeping bags, and continued walking. The hike without water or the prospect of food was unbearable. We were already exhausted, and the realization that we were soon going to be starving and dehydrated only served to sap more of our energy. Within a few hours, my mouth felt gummy and dry. While we were still under the canopy of leaves, the temperature was still in the high 80s and low 90s. It didn't take long for dehydration to set in. I kept licking my lips in an attempt to keep them moist, but I could feel them beginning to crack as my saliva began to dry up. As we walked, Oliver picked up his pace and caught up with me. I looked over at him and knew without saying anything that another one of those things had joined our group.
Don't look directly at it. Just keep it at the corner of your eyes. I think that's how it messes with your mind. It would explain why you remember that guy that night, but the rest of us can't. You saw him, but the rest of us didn't. Don't get close. Just keep it in the corner of your eyes. It's been trailing us for about half an hour now. I think it just wants to watch and follow us.
I pretended to be cracking my neck and looked at the tag-along in my peripheral vision. It trailed behind us about a dozen feet. In its resting state, its facial features appeared staticky. I could make out eyes and a nose, but it was constantly shifting and rippling like bubbling plastic. At this point, we were too tired to even bother with chasing it off. We just kept walking and hoping that it wouldn't try to join the group. It seemed content to keep its distance and keep us in its line of sight. It followed us for about 2 miles before it broke off towards the trees with a shambling, awkward gait. We were too tired to even try and set up a shift system. We just huddled together in an attempt to convince ourselves that we were safer when we were closer together. But every time one of us got comfortable enough to drift off, one of those things would start making noise. The noises started off as high-pitched yips, whose sounds seemed to travel for miles. As the night drew on, they grew more aggressive. I remember one time as I was drifting off, hearing the grasping rasp of my name. The things weren't just following us, they were learning. They were perfecting their mimicry. The thought disturbed me more than the idea of them out there watching us in the darkness. How long would it take them to become more human than human? What would they do once they were capable of walking amongst people again? I drifted off to sleep with that thought beating around in my head like a man trapped inside a wall. We got up on Tuesday morning and left without a word. At this point, there was nothing left to say. Some of us had been awake all night without any food or water. The constant stress had completely worn us down. We continued hiking in the same direction we had been going in, with the false hope that we would come across someone. In the end, our hike looked more like a death march. My feet were covered in blisters that had ruptured and plastered the soles of my feet to my socks. Every step I felt like I was tearing open the wounds a bit more. In an attempt to take my mind off the discomfort, I focused on my brother, who was walking in front of me. He wasn't as much walking as he was limping forward. He had stopped using his walking stick and was dragging it behind him like it was a broken leg. I watched as he stepped over a rock and the walking stick slipped out of his hands. He kept dragging himself forward as if nothing had happened. He didn't even register it falling out of his hands. It was at that point that I knew that something was wrong. I knew that my brother wasn't my brother anymore. I quickly picked up his stick as I passed it. Amy went to call out to him and ask if he was all right, but I shushed her. I was so sure that one of those things had replaced him and was now leading us deeper into the woods. I realized that I would only have one chance at this. The instant it knew that we knew, it would try and run away. All it would take was one good swing to the back of the head, and we would be able to take out one of those things. The stick had a bit of weight to it, about 5 or 6 pounds, enough to crack open a skull if swung hard enough. I began walking faster while trying to avoid the underbrush that might give away my approach. The thing wearing my brother's skin continued limping forward as I drew closer. I waited until I was within swinging distance before raising the stick above my head. My heart was beating in my chest, and my palms were so sweaty that it felt like the stick would slide right out of my hands. I kept on moving forwards. I whispered, "I'm sorry," just before I swung the walking stick down with all my strength. Ian turned to face me, asking what I was sorry for. My muscles locked, and I stopped mid-swing, and the stick stopped just inches away from his face. He blinked in surprise before asking me what was wrong. His voice sounded distant and empty, like he was in between a waking and sleep state. It was then that I knew the extent of his condition. He was pale and looked like the slightest breeze would blow him over. He wasn't one of those things. He was delirious from dehydration, sleep deprivation, and starvation. The walking stick fell out of my hand and bounced on the ground next to us. I dragged my tongue across my lips and felt like I was licking sandpaper. I whimpered, "Jesus, Ian, I thought you were one of those things. I almost... God, I'm so sorry." He didn't react to my apology. He just turned around and continued walking in the direction we were going. Amy just watched everything unfold numbly before she started following me. Oliver shook his head sadly, but he didn't look any better. His eyes were glazed and his lips were cracked and red from rubbing at them. I watched my brother shambling forward, and it reminded me of one of those old voodoo movies where someone is put in a trance and forced to walk until they die from exhaustion. His mouth hung open, and he moved like he was being dragged along on puppet strings. I picked up the walking stick and began to follow them. I wondered how much longer he had left in him, and what any of us could do if he just fell over and stopped walking. I wondered how much longer any of us had. I don't know how long we walked. Everything melted together in a muddled malaise at the time. I remember losing my footing and tripping a few times, but I barely felt it. The third time, I didn't even realize I was lying on the ground until Jessica stepped on me as she was passing by. There was no apology. She was too far gone to recognize what she had stepped on. I dragged myself to my feet and felt lightheaded, but continued putting one foot in front of the other. The fifth time I fell, I wondered if it would have been better just to lay down and wait to die. An excited yap behind me from one of those things drove me to my feet. It wasn't until we bumped into the sign for Little Bear Canyon that I realized how close we were to salvation. The post for Little Bear Canyon also had a branching sign that pointed in the direction for TJ Corral, which was only a few miles from where we started at the Gila Cliff Dwellings if we walked along Route 15. Ian was heading in the right direction, and we were almost home free. In my excitement, I began calling to the others to let them know that the end was near. I looked around me and shouted, "Jessica, Ian, Oliver, Heather, Amy, I know where we need to..." The words died on my lips as I counted the names and realized it wasn't over yet. The others kept moving as if they hadn't heard me talking. The imposters shuffled alongside us, and for once, it was easy to identify them. I don't know whether or not they had let down their guard after seeing our conditions, but this one was obvious. She moved slowly, but her movement didn't convey her exhaustion. Everyone else was sweating and looked like the walking dead, but she was fine. I waited for her to get close enough to follow the trail the others were going down before I raised Ian's walking stick and growled, "Turn around right fucking now. I can see you." She turned around slowly, and I felt my heart skip a beat. She looked almost exactly like Jessica, except for a brownish tinge to her hair. She could have been her twin. I knew what it was planning before it even opened its mouth and asked,
What are you doing, Evan?
"Don't call me that."
What are you rambling about? Please move out of the way. We're almost safe from those things.
"I know what you are." Heather turned white at the realization. She began speaking quickly.
I'm not one of those things. Please, Evan, you have to remember. There were 6 of us. Those things want us to think there were only 5 so they can take one of us without the others caring. Those things don't want us all. They only want the weakest one. Please, let's go before they catch.
"Shut up!" I snapped. I raised the walking stick in my hand and brandished it at her.
Think about it, Evan. Do I look like one of those things? Do I speak like them? That should be enough to prove I'm human.
"No, Ian's my brother. Jessica is his girlfriend."
I'm your girlfriend. I sat on your lap on the car ride. Please don't kill me. Evan, I love you. Don't you remember? Evan, I love you.
I lowered the stick that was in my hand as memories bombarded me. I had met her one night when my brother forced me to go to a club with him. Heather had been sitting at the bar all night drinking. It wasn't until she tried to stand up and fell into my arms that we actually talked. I remembered lazy Sundays in bed watching cheesy B sci-fi movies. I remembered holding her close to me after making love and hearing her whisper sweet nothings into my ear. I remembered our life together. I rasped, "Heather, I'm so sorry. I didn't know."
Evan, it's not your fault.
She went to touch me, and I sprang back like I'd been bitten by a snake. The instant I heard those words, I knocked. The stick caught her unaware in the side of her face. I felt her jaw give way under the sudden force of my attack.
I love...
She burbled through broken teeth. The second strike dented her temple as the temporal bone shattered. She kept trying to talk, but it was too late, and too much damage had been done. That door was shut now. I kept swinging the walking stick down on her head until it splintered and snapped. I looked up from her twitching body and saw my brother watching me in horror. I spoke through gritted teeth and regarded him with red-rimmed eyes. "Come on, we have to go." He went to keep talking, but I walked past him. I didn't want to explain it to him. He eventually ran ahead, invigorated with the prospect of finding rescue on the road. I looked behind me one last time. The last thing I saw was one of those things dragging away Heather's corpse. It looked emaciated and half mad with starvation. At that very moment, I wasn't afraid of the thing. I felt pity. Whether or not it forced that emotion on me, I'll never know. I turned away and caught up with the others on Route 15. We were on the road in 15 minutes before we managed to flag down a car and an ambulance was called for us. The doctor said that our exposure to the elements, combined with our starvation and dehydration, triggered the auditory and visual hallucinations we experienced. I was surprised by the condition they said we were in. I could have sworn it had only been a day or two since we'd eaten, but they said we showed signs of severe dehydration and starvation. It's the typical response you'd be given after hearing our half-dead ramblings about creatures warping their flesh and our memories to drive us to the brink of death so they could prey on us when we were at our weakest. We spent a week there while receiving treatments, recounting our horrific experiences and then subsequent psych evaluations before we were released. I tried to talk to the others about it. Ian and Jessica refused to talk to me about it. I don't really know Oliver or Amy, so that's off the table too. They just want to forget. I can't forget. Here's the thing. I still remember Nadia asking me to help her find her lighter. I recall staying up late and talking with her by the campfire while she smoked like a chimney. I can recite Gary's terrible puns that he'd make about almost everything and Lucas's determination at hiking this trail while slowly succumbing to the effects of his multiple sclerosis. I can recall whispering sweet nothings to Jessica under the glow of the full moon. I can still envision that moment clear as day, even months later. I know the conversation we had word for word. I can remember the feeling of her skin against mine and the smell of her hair as I pressed myself against it when I reached that one true moment of connectivity. I remember Heather pleading for me and begging me not to kill her. Despite recording all this months later, I can see all those things clearly. Sometimes, late at night, I can even remember driving up to Gila National Park with Heather sitting on my lap, playfully grinding against me and telling me how fun our hike was going to be. Sometimes I think about that memory more than I should. Since I can't talk to my brother or Jessica about this, I had to find some other outlet. I guess I'm recording all this for one reason: catharsis. In the end, I kept wondering if what I did was right. Did I make the right choice? I want you to hear this and tell me that I had no other option, that the risk of one of them escaping into the city forced my hand. I know that's not the case. I could have walked away or tried to scare her off, but I didn't. What kind of person can look into someone's eyes, remember all the things they did and the life they had, and do what I did? Who can have all those memories and end everything so callously? It doesn't matter if none of it was real, because in that moment, it was to me. Who can look at someone and feel such love for them before you kill them? The answer to that question is simple now that I ask myself aloud. I just don't like the answer.
Well, that was intense.
I heard the cave Mitrion has another name, the Siren's Cave. The folks say there's a gust that flows through the cave and causes the...
I kind of want to, obviously do something else now because I'm bored. I wonder what I'm gonna do now. I mean, technically, I still have to do the cleaning. Excuse me. Man, the dust is getting to me. Well, I'm gonna keep playing this because why not?
Sounds of people calling to you. I heard it ain't just the wind. Some old settlers and explorers got stuck down there. Things got real, and before they knew it, boom, they were gone. Maybe they fell into the pit. My two friends, Trey and Anthony, kept on discussing the majesties of this strange cave in the middle of nowhere outside of our town.
Cave
Some
diving
70
story, huh?
miles north, there was a large swath of land housing a large cave that held the eponymous Wailing Cave. I was always up for an adventure, being 17 and spending most of my life outdoors, but it was the insistence of my two aforementioned friends and their propensity to do far more daring feats that led us to this particular adventure. Now, I never liked caving much. My claustrophobia made sure of that. The idea of being trapped in the earth with immovable walls all around you. Thankfully, the caves we went into were never that small, but I still always felt nervous when we went. But when you're young and with your friends, it's easy to muster up courage to do what you normally wouldn't. I felt safe with them. Come on, Bryce. You know if we tell our folks, they'll just stop us. Or worse yet, insist on coming with and providing boring rules we don't need. Trey jabbed my shoulder playfully. We're strong, virile men. We don't need any of that shit. Plus, we're not going to need much more than ropes, lights and backpacks, and some basic gear. We'll be in and out with either a boring story to tell or footage that will net us those huge YouTube bucks. Yeah, Trey, I know. I rolled my eyes, imitating his
Okay, I swear I'm
enthusiasm.
gonna get my room
All
cleaned
right,
today.
I'm in. What are we doing? Anthony stood up from my bed, hands on his back and looking over the map. He was very much the brains of the operation. All right, we'll leave at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Bryce, borrow your sister's car and pick us up. If your mom asks, tell her we're going hiking or something. Don't say the cave, obviously. If you're super worried about location tracking and your mom not believing you, turn it off. We'll get to the cave before sunrise and be back home by early morning. If anyone asks, we're just doing some bonding in the mountains, okay? Bonding in the mountains? Won't that make people think Trey started before Anthony let out an audible sigh and we broke into laughter. Hey, it's cool, bro. I'm no judging here. I mean, I know I'm your type, but my girlfriend may have questions. After some light arguing and insistence by Anthony that that wasn't what he meant, we had some drinks to celebrate putting the plans in motion and got an early night. When I slept, I envisioned a small opening in the side of a large cliff edge, no bigger than me, and almost as if it were manufactured to my size and stature. I felt my body drawn to it, and even when I tried to resist, my frame was inescapably pulled into the perfectly
You know what?
shaped
I'm
holes in
gonna
the wall. A force.
play some music because I've been listening to the Dark Somnium for 2 hours straight, man. At this point, I'm so bored I'm about to play friggin' anime intros in a kazoo. I swear. Okay, I'm gonna entertain myself with a freaking kazoo and put this laptop like up here. Me going down to a kazoo to entertain myself is low. Uh-oh. Okay, what the heck? Let's see. This is gonna be torturous. I don't even know where I put my kazoo. Oh, I found it. Never mind. Mm-mm-mm. Guys, I'm dying. Yeah, I think I'm gonna skip. English stuff now. Okay, let's see. Man, I have no idea. Songs to make studying suck less? Well, I've been studying, but okay. Five, 6, 7, 8. Dance with me in my backyard, boy. Looking super fine in your corduroy. Drive me round the block, keep going to you. And we turn the vibe up on some good boy tunes. I feel the fresh air, can feel your eyes staring. I'm not gonna lie, I get a little bit scared. My heart is on wings and living in dreams. And at the top of our lungs, we sing. Everything is perfect. All our words were worth it. Dancing around like a clown at the circus. Backyard boy, you make me nervous. Dance with me in my backyard, boy. Looking super fine in your 5, 6, 7, 8. Roll the windows down, keep the breakers start blow. Everybody's talking, but I don't wanna know. Feel the fresh air, can feel your eyes staring, and I'm not gonna lie, I get a little bit scared. My heart is on wings and living in dreams, and at the top of our lungs we sing. Everything is perfect. All our words were worth it. Dancing around like a clown at the circus. Backyard boy, you make me nervous.
long have you been smiling? It seems like it's been too long. Some days I don't feel like trying. So what the fuck are you on? Oh, I think too much, we drink too much, falling in love like it's just nothing. I want to know, where do we go when nothing's wrong? 'Cause all the kids are depressed, nothing ever makes sense. I'm not feeling alright, staying up till sunrise and hoping shit is okay, pretending we know things. I don't know what happened, my natural reaction is that we'll skip.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess we're scared. I can't really keep lying, 'cause I've been scared all along.
I'm done now.
Getting sick of sleeping in. All my friends are popping pills. I don't think that they're wrong. I think too much, we drink too much, falling apart like it's just nothing. I want to know, where do we go when nothing's wrong? 'Cause all the kids are depressed, nothing ever makes sense. I'm not feeling alright, staying up till sunrise and hoping shit is okay, pretending we know things. I don't know what happened, our natural reaction is that we're scared. Oh no, no, no. So I guess we're scared.
Oh, I just found a nice pen.
I want the night, 'cause I was. I want the night, but I don't give a fuck. So
Oh! Yellow hearts. This playlist memories is like coming back to me.
She put my name in yellow hearts, her favorite color like the stars. I didn't listen very hard, but she told me I was crazy from the start. She put my name in yellow hearts, I said she was a work of art. I didn't listen very hard, she told me she was crazy from the start. I jumped on open was the stove. Here comes the train, I let it go. Ain't got nobody on my soul. Don't like being all alone. I couldn't keep up with the tracks. So good and welcoming minds. It's been a while since I heard her say that we were more than friends. And why? I know a lot is going on. Girl, please tell me, let you see, are you still with me or not? She put my name in yellow hearts, her favorite color like the stars. I didn't listen very hard, she told me she was crazy from the start. She put my name in yellow.
Oh my gosh, guys. Fine. Come on. I didn't listen very hard, and she told me she was crazy from the start. Yellow hearts around my name, I thought we were just the same. To you, but we're really mean. We've been playing games. my god. She's in my nature. Chasing for no good use. Things will be going through. You have to go so soon. Good as new. Your heart's on my mind. I thought they were all just the same. Till you've been there running me. And we've been playing games. Hearts. Her favorite color like the stars. I've been listening very hard. Oh, I have a funnel. That's why. Okay. My name, Yellow Hearts. I should use a funnel. Was a work of art. Listen very hard. She told me she was crazy from the start. I'm trying to pour hand sanitizer into this bottle thing, but like, I just realized I have a funnel. Yeah. At least it's sanitized now, so I spilled it everywhere. My laptop's not about to explode, is it? I was hanging you, didn't realize. Didn't think it was true. I was surprised when I found I'm falling for you. I didn't wanna believe my feelings for you. I didn't wanna believe that I could lose you. If I told you just how I felt, but I can't help it. I'm falling for you. And I can't hide it, 'cause I'm stuck on you. And you might be pathetic and you might be skeptical, but I just wanna be with you. Please tell me, boy, can you get it? Or come through? I just wanna be with you. I'm scared of telling you how I feel. I haven't heard these songs in like a year. I just try to conceal the truth for me and for you, but I'm still stuck on you. I'm still stuck for you, for you. I wish Jerks would come back. Oh, this is that sad song. Never really real. God, I really tried to. Blindsided, addicted. Thought we can really do this, but really I was foolish. Hindsighted, obvious. Talking with my lawyer, she said, where'd you find this guy? I said, young people fall in love with the wrong people sometimes. Some mistakes were made, that's alright, that's okay. And you think that you're in love when you're really just engaged. Some mistakes get made, that's alright, that's okay. And it's better for me, that's the moral of the story, babe. I think this song has like 2 people that actually accept it, you know? It's not funny how it changes. Ended up like strangers. We burned down a big birdhouse. With your love, you said that you could be mine. But some people fall in love with the wrong people sometimes. Some mistakes get made, that's alright, that's okay. And there ain't been sure enough, you're really just in pain. Some mistakes get made, that's alright, that's okay. And the end is better for me, that's the moral of the story, babe. How much hand sanitizer is in this? To have loved and lost, and never to have loved at all. That could be a low function, but I just need to tell you all. I'm just gonna leave it upside down. If it falls, then screw me, I guess. When you're really just engaged, some mistakes get made, that's alright, that's okay. In the end, it's better for me, that's the moral of the story. Some mistakes get made, that's alright, that's okay. And you think that you know, when you're really just engaged. Some mistakes get made, that's alright, that's okay. In the end, it's better for me, that's the moral of the story, babe. I can actually walk around on my floor now. Oh my gosh. Some girls get done and lose a place to repent. I don't know why these are so sad. Taking them nowhere. Some think it's funny, they don't really care. But on the inside, they wish they were there. What have they come to know? We all end up with the rest. Can't describe just how, but we're all a beautiful mess. When we were broken and then we're fine, he called you back. Wait, wasn't he mine? One moment we're broken and then we're fine. Lost in the puzzle of the teenage. I just found a wooden canvas. Some boys make them struggle and think they're wallish. Constantly in company and them to the ditch. And so much is there to have a good time. Ignoring every hidden trauma and each little lie. What have we come to know? We all know without the rest. Can't describe just how, but we're all a beautiful mess. One moment we're broken and then we're fine. He called you back, wait, wasn't he mine? One moment we're broken and then we're fine. Lost in the trouble of a teenage night. What have come to know? Can't describe just how. One moment we're broken and then we're fine. This time hello, and this goodbye. We are all insane inside, and no one's gonna figure out the teenage mind. I need to go get some batteries.
Chasing the sunset, headed west, leaving behind a girl. Think it's for the best. Trying to forget what I had. Feeling my forehead burn. You were in my chest.
Okay, weird enough, I don't like this one. It's like 5 minutes long anyway. Okay, I like this one, but I will skip it. Woke up in your new apartment in your twin size bed. Coffee started, don't remember much. All I know is that you talk too much. Time to go. Ba-ba-dum, ba-ba-dum, ba-da-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-ba-dum. You've got those big blue eyes, drive me crazy, make me fantasize. But wait. I'm gonna make this into a drawing. Cause your heart's so tasty. Okay, this is perfect. Hold on. I just got the best idea. And I watched you break like glass you shattered. It's my mistake. I made things harder, so I tried my okay, I got the best idea ever. This is terrible. Thoughts I hid took their way out. Ba-ba-dum, ba-ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Said you can't trust me. I said it's fine because I'm not happy till I tell a lie. Now my bed sheets smell like your cologne, and in our separate worlds we sleep alone. Ba-ba-dum, ba-ba-dum, ba-da-da-dum, ba-dum, da-da-dum, I'm gonna start making animatics because I want to, and I feel like it's easy to just sketch them. My phone, I'll go straight to airplane mode. Find something to do alone. I can be an pickle, but my third eye is going blind. I'm on a line, my body and mind is playing tricks. I say I'm fine, but really it's hurting me deep inside. Cause I'm thinking about you. Ooh, I know tonight I was next to you. I've been dreaming of a. Okay. Going back to the living room. Because I suddenly feel like making an animatic or something. Oops. There was nothing wrong. Okay. What I'm gonna do is make a checklist of what I want. Right back. drive me crazy, make me fantasize about you, baby, and you smell so sweet. I don't know the rest. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. In no particular order. First I need to literally text my uncle. And then I want to make an animatic Satosugu, obviously. With that like song, you know. Coffee song in playlist. And I want to finish that story and post it to the AO3. Because I'm genuinely almost done with it. Man, I don't know. Yeah, that's about it. Okay. Since no one's here anyway, I'm going to end stream so I can get to work on